From the Spider-Man desk meme hiding in the Daily Bugle, to the Homer Simpson Bush meme being remade with Lego, and even a chicken jockey slipping through the cracks. These are the most viral memes in Lego. Basically, Wolverine is looking at a picture of a girl named Jean Grey and her new boyfriend. He stares at the picture and gets all in his feelings since he can't get the girl, and probably starts singing Juice WRLD in his head or something. The frame of him staring at the picture went stupid viral, and even got recreated in the Deadpool and Wolverine movie in 2024. But did you know that Lego also recreated it in the X-Men Mansion set? If you go to the bedroom on the second floor, there's actually a tile piece of the same picture that Wolverine was looking at in the cartoon. With this, you can put the Wolverine minifig on the bed and fully recreate the meme. But if you thought this was cool, how about this fan-made set that lets you make the Homer Simpson Bush meme in real life? This meme is a lot more popular as a GIF. Yes, that's how you pronounce it. So if this set was just Homer standing still in front of a bush, it definitely wouldn't be as cool. Like this one from Lego Ideas. There's nothing truly wrong with it, but the other one is so much better. Isn't it way cooler that you can actually move Homer in and out of the bush? This set was made by JK Extras using all real Lego pieces. And if you want the set for yourself, you can either buy the instructions on Rebrickable or buy the set outright on Build-A-MOC. Huge memes like this are super sick in Lego, but that isn't all there are. They also add some Lego-specific memes for the true Lego fans. I'm sure a lot of you guys watched the Ninjago TV show on Cartoon Network. So I'm sure you'll also remember when Zane went undercover and wore a pink outfit as a disguise. People thought this was the funniest thing ever and begged Lego to make a pink Zane minifigure in real life. After years of waiting, we finally got one in the Gamers Market set. It was exactly what the people had been asking for, but if you weren't a huge Ninjago fan, you probably would have been really confused. But if you love Lego like me, go subscribe to my channel. I post Lego videos literally every week, so just go subscribe. Anyways, another set with a niche Lego meme like Pink Zane is the Medieval Town Square set, and it's based on the goat piece. For over 10 years, Lego never used this mold for any other piece, and they never even put the goat in another set until the Minifigure Series 25 pack. The Medieval Town Square set was released after this minifigure pack, so it makes sense why the guy who was selling their goat had to put him on sale. This was a super clever way for Lego to reference the fact that the goat was going to be losing value after all these years since the mold was finally being used again. Stuff like this doesn't happen often in Lego. Usually, it's individual pieces that don't get used more than once. This exact thing happened with a certain minifigure, but the thing is, the minifig was already a super popular meme. In 2016, Lego released the Minifigure Series 15 pack, and out of all of these minifigures, can you guess which one is the meme? Well, if you guessed the shark, you'd be absolutely right. This guy is a direct reference to the shark suit guy from Katy Perry's halftime show in 2016. One of the backup dancers was wearing a shark suit and went insanely viral after putting their whole tail fin into the dance. The meme isn't too big anymore, which makes sense since it was 9 years ago. But were any of you on the internet for this meme? It was absolutely huge in the early days of memes. So if you're a little young watching this video, sorry, this one just isn't for you. The picture comes from The Lord of the Rings, when Boromir said, "One does not simply walk into Mordor." People just started using this frame and saying how one does not simply do a bunch of different things. But how could this meme ever be in Lego? Well, in the Rivendell set from 2024, Lego included a bunch of minifigs, one of them being Boromir. And since Lego is all about Easter eggs and references, they gave this minifigure a faceplate that's pretty accurate to the meme itself. Now, obviously, you can't fully recreate the meme, just because of how minifigure hands actually work, but you can get pretty close because of the faceplate. A meme you guys will all know, though, is Chicken Jockey. This one needs no explanation. We all know it's from the Minecraft movie, and we've all seen the crazy videos of people in the movie theater when they say it on screen. But this meme literally just happened, so how is it already in Lego? Well, Jack Black didn't just say Chicken Jockey to be funny. It's an actual thing in Minecraft. It happens when a baby zombie rides a chicken, and I guess this happened enough in-game that people wanted to give it a name, and Chicken Jockey is just what they landed on. But where can you find it in Lego? Well, they actually released sets for the live-action Minecraft movie, and one of them is this fighting ring, the exact scene where we get the Chicken Jockey line in the movie. When you look at the set, only one thing should stand out now. Yup, that's definitely a chicken Another movie that had a huge meme was Avengers Endgame. This movie came out in 2019, so the meme is a little old now. But do you remember when Thor was sitting at home doing nothing all day? He was in a pretty sad state, but the scene where his friend is getting cyberbullied on Fortnite not only blew up online, but LEGO even referenced it in one of their sets. The player's name was Noobmaster69, and if you look at the TV in the Bro Thor's new Asgard set, you can see the word noob.m on the left. I guess this one is more of an Easter egg, but there's no doubt that this is a direct reference to that scene from the movie. If you think that's it for LEGO Marvel memes though, guess again, because for this one, I'm taking you straight to the Daily Bugle. This set is mostly known for its Easter eggs and minifigures, but there's actually a meme hiding in plain sight. In one of the many rooms in this set, there's a green room with a desk and a tile piece with Spider-Man's headshot in the back. It may not look like much when it's empty, but when you put a Spider-Man minifigure behind the desk and get the right angle, there's no mistaking. This is one of the biggest memes with Spider-Man ever, but it is a little old, so I know all the young adults were super happy to see this in the set. Technically speaking, this actually isn't the only Spider-Man meme in LEGO. You can also recreate the famous pointing meme if you buy the Spider-Man Final Battle set. This set is based on the movie No Way Home, and Marvel themselves actually recreated the pointing meme in the movie. So if you buy this set, you can recreate the recreation, which kind of feels like a giant Russian doll of Spider-Man pointing memes. But if you want to remake the one from the movie in LEGO, you definitely can. A lot of these memes have been pretty easy to spot so far, but this next one feels more like an Easter egg than anything else. There's actually a reference to the keyboard cat hiding somewhere in the Monkey Kids Cloud Airship set. And even if you built the set, odds are you'd have no idea that this reference is even there. At the top of the airship, you can find this tile piece attached to the wall. See the resemblance? Monkey Kid's arms are super extended, just like the cat's when it was playing the keyboard. The best way to spot memes like this is if you know a lot about the IP for the set you're building. Like, I'm sure all of the Office superfans probably spotted these 3 memes I'm about to tell you about instantly. The first one is this poop piece hiding under Michael's desk. In Season 2, Episode 14, Michael came into the office and found a giant poop waiting for him. So, of course, LEGO couldn't resist including that. Then there were the times Jim put Dwight's stapler in Jell-O. So, of course, LEGO had to make a brand new piece just for that. But the best one is LEGO's version of Kevin's chili spilling all over the floor. This is one of the most famous cold opens in the entire show, so there's no way LEGO could have left it out. Another TV show that got this treatment is Seinfeld. Now, there are a million things LEGO could have done for this one, but they decided to go with the Festivus pole. Festivus is basically a made-up anti-Christmas holiday that gets celebrated on December 23rd instead of December 25th. But the characters needed something to represent the holiday, like how there's a Christmas tree for Christmas. So they made this thing called a Festivus pole, and sure enough, LEGO included it in the official Seinfeld set. Clearly, LEGO is really good at putting memes in sets, but sometimes they actually do them by accident. Something like this happened in the LEGO Harry Potter Gringotts Bank set, and it's literally hiding in plain sight. The stickers they used for the bank's name were really weird, so we ended up with the letters TS being separated from the rest of the name. Obviously, this wasn't their intention at all. I mean, what business does LEGO have putting peak brain rot into one of their sets? The only time LEGO even got close to that was when they made the Bigfoot minifigure for the Series 14 pack. The theme of this pack was monsters, so every minifig in here is a well-known monster that doesn't actually exist. At least, that's what most people think. You see, the thing is, there's an entire community of people who all believe in Bigfoot or some form of Sasquatch, but nobody's ever been able to capture it on camera. Notice anything about the minifigure now? He's literally holding a camera. This was a clear joke from LEGO about the fact that there's no real evidence that this monster exists, and yet so many people believe that it actually does. This honestly could have landed LEGO in some hot water. I mean, it's not often that they do anything even remotely controversial, but a post they made on Facebook and Twitter back in 2019 definitely didn't age well. It all starts with Elon Musk revealing the Cybertruck. Yes, he revealed it that long ago. Of course, Elon was hyping it up to no end, but the rest of the world didn't really agree. Everybody just thought it was ugly, including LEGO. And to show that, they made this post. They literally remade the Cybertruck out of like 5 pieces and called it the evolution of the truck, which is probably something Elon said, if we're being honest. You know, now that I'm seeing this, it's no wonder LEGO rejected the Cybertruck on LEGO Ideas. I mean, they literally memed it the day it got announced. Anyways, getting back to some actual memes, there's a super big one in the Jurassic Park movie called Shirtless Malcolm. For some reason, this guy was posted up like the flippin' sexy emote from Fortnite, and people thought it was super funny. The actor even recreated it years later, but you know who else did? Lego. And they did it in the T-Rex Rampage set. Malcolm's minifigure has the exact same outfit on, and he even has his shirt open and sweat all over his body, which are obvious references to the meme. Now, even though you can't recreate the position he was sitting in, it's still pretty obvious why Lego did this. It's gotten to the point though where even fans have started making memes out of Lego, like what JK Extras did for the Homer Simpson meme. Just like theirs, someone submitted a Lego version of the "This is fine" meme to Lego Ideas. Now, unfortunately, it did get rejected, but this proves that people really do love seeing memes in Lego. Another one that got submitted was this "Peace was never an option" set, which is probably a lot less popular than the "This is fine" meme since it only has about 160 supporters. Starting with some in the Simpsons house set. The Simpsons family car has a dent built into the design on purpose, which is the complete opposite of what you'd normally expect from a Lego set. The official Lego description even jokes about it, saying, "Because only in a Lego world are dents a plus." In the show, Homer crashes this car constantly. It's literally always falling apart, and yet somehow it just keeps running. That dent in particular has been on the car since season 1, so even though it's technically a flaw, it's a very important and famous detail that makes the car complete. Obviously, Homer's behavior with this car is anything but good, but it might be even worse with his next door neighbor, Ned Flanders. Homer is literally always stealing stuff from Ned, whether it's a lawnmower, a bunch of fans to power a wind turbine, or his literal credit card. Ned always has something that Homer wants, but one of his most memorable robberies is when he stole Ned's air conditioner. He took it right out of his window and put a hole in the wall of his own house just to be able to use it. In the Lego set, it's attached to Lisa's room on the second floor, and it reads clear as day, "Property of Ned Flanders." Because of how famous this stealing gag has been over the years, Lego couldn't make this set without referencing it. The thing is though, Homer's not the only one causing chaos in the neighborhood. Bart's skateboard ramp has his signature El Bardo graffiti tag on it, which makes sense since that's where he'd be skating. But here's where it gets interesting. The same tag is also on the dumpster behind the Quickie Mart and on the wall of the back of the Krusty Burger. Lego made sure Bart's vandalism spread across these 3 sets, so if you own all 3 and display them together, it's like Bart's been causing trouble all over Springfield, just like how he would in the show. It's such a cool way to connect the sets and make them feel like they're part of the same world instead of just standalone builds. But now that I'm thinking about it, there's something I forgot to tell you about the family car. If you open the trunk, you'll find a glowing green radioactive bar from the nuclear power plant. But why is it there? Well, in the opening credits for literally every Simpsons episode, Homer is seen handling some sort of radioactive tube at work. But his shift ends, and instead of putting it down carefully, he stops caring about it, and it flies into his shirt. So this green tube in the trunk is a reference to how clumsy Homer is, even when he's handling something that could literally kill him. Anyways, now that the car is out of the way, let's head inside the house, because there are just as many details in there as there are on the outside. First off, the living room TV is playing the Itchy and Scratchy Show, which is the ultra-violent cartoon that Bart and Lisa watch religiously. For anyone who doesn't know, Itchy and Scratchy is basically Tom and Jerry, but way more violent and ridiculous. It's referenced constantly throughout the series, so putting it on the TV instead of leaving it blank shows Lego actually cared about the small stuff. Most people would have just made the TV one solid color and moved on, but Lego really went the extra mile. Moving upstairs to Bart's bedroom, his lucky red hat is on top of his bookshelf, but it's designed not to fit on his head. The hat's too small to go over his hairpiece, so you physically can't put it on him even if you wanted to. This is Lego making a meta joke about their own limitations. They knew people would try to put the hat on Bart, and they knew it wouldn't work, so they just leaned into it. It's sitting there as an accessory piece, taunting you because you can't actually use it the way you want to. On the same floor, there's also a picture of Grandpa Simpson at the top of the staircase. This is a really nice detail that Lego could have easily left out, since Grandpa doesn't live in the house. But including it really shows how meticulous the designers were with every little part of this set. But they didn't stop there, because they did the same thing for the minifigures too. Homer and Bart's minifigures changed Lego forever, and most people don't even know about it. Their arms are molded in 2 separate colors instead of being painted. Homer has white upper arms for his shirt and yellow lower arms for his skin. Before the Simpsons theme, Lego had never done this. If they wanted different colored arms, they'd either paint them or just abandon the idea and make the whole arm one color. Bart's arms and legs are the same way too. His shorts are a different color than his legs, and his upper arms are a different color than his lower arms. This technique became standard after the Simpsons theme, so now pretty much every minifigure with different colored molds uses this technique. The Simpsons theme literally changed how LEGO makes minifigures, so not only is it super memorable, but it changed LEGO as we know it. Alright, now that we've covered the house, let's move on to the Quickie Mart, because this set might have even more details than the house. Inside the freezer, there's a guy named Jasper, frozen solid in a block of ice. In the episode Lisa the Simpson, Jasper freezes himself so he can wake up in the future, and he turns into a tourist attraction at the Quickie Mart called Frostilicus. This is a pretty famous bit in the show, so most of you probably knew exactly what it was, but let's see if that's the case for this next reference. If you look at the top of the Quickie Mart, you'll find a very out-of-place vegetable garden. So why is it here? Well, in the episode Lisa the Vegetarian, Apu reveals that he's actually vegan, and takes Lisa up to the roof to show her his secret garden. He tells her he comes up here to escape the world, like he can't be vegan in public or something. LEGO adding this garden shows they weren't just pulling references from popular episodes, they were going deep. Most companies would just have the store itself, but LEGO added this tiny detail that most people wouldn't even know to look for. The details don't stop there though. If you look closely at the newspapers in the Quickie Mart, you'll see a guy named Bumblebee Man on one of them, and this guy is barely in the show. He's a Spanish-speaking TV actor in a Bumblebee costume, who usually only appears for a few seconds at a time. So LEGO putting him on a background newspaper that most people will never notice is the definition of a small hidden detail. You have to actively search for it, and even then you might miss it. Don't think we're done with the Quickie Mart though, because around back in the storage closet, there's a rat, cheese, and a rat hole. The Quickie Mart is constantly shown to be kinda gross throughout the show, with expired food and questionable hygiene. So LEGO adding a full-on rat infestation to the storage area is perfect. It's not something you'd normally expect LEGO to add, but it makes the set authentic. But LEGO pays attention to detail across everything, even TV. In the Simpsons crossover episode, Brick Like Me, Baby Maggie is made out of Duplo instead of regular LEGO. Duplo is LEGO's toddler line with bigger pieces, so using it for Maggie is genius. Homer even says,
"Oh, they're so cute when they're Duplo,"
in the episode. It's one of the funniest visual gags in the whole thing, and it works really well because everyone knows what Duplo is. The crazy part about that episode is that it took over 2 years to animate, which is way longer than the usual 6 to 8 months for a regular Simpsons episode. Animating everything in LEGO instead of the show's usual style was incredibly time consuming. And here's the crazy part, the Simpsons team didn't even know about the LEGO movie until late in production. Both the Brick Like Me episode and the LEGO movie were being made at the same time, without either team knowing what the other was doing. So any similarities are completely coincidental. 2 years for one episode is insane, but when you watch it, honestly, it makes sense. One thing I haven't talked about yet though are minifigures, and one that I absolutely have to talk about is Grandpa Simpson. Grandpa's minifigure comes with a newspaper that says "Old Man Yells at Cloud." If you've been on the internet at any point in the last 10 years, you've seen this meme before. It's used constantly to make fun of people complaining about nothing, and it's one of the most famous images from the entire show. LEGO could have put anything on that tile piece, but they chose something that everybody can laugh at, and it worked out perfectly. Another thing I haven't talked about yet is the Krusty Burger set that came out this year. This was one of the biggest pieces of LEGO news in all of 2025. So of course LEGO had to deliver and absolutely pack this set with references. So let's go over a few of them. The first one is actually advertised on LEGO's website. When you scroll through the pictures, you'll find this weird picture of Homer scooping LEGO transparent tiles into the trunk of his car. To regular people, this is just another picture in the listing, but to die-hard Simpsons fans, this is a reference to Season 6, Episode 15, Homie the Clown, when Homer drove over to the Krusty Burger and started stealing grease right from the grease trap. He was trying to sell it to make a profit, which is very typical for Homer, but this isn't the only reference to this episode in the Krusty Burger set. The car itself is actually a reference too. So far, every set for The Simpsons has a car in it. The Simpsons house had the regular family car, and the Quickie Mart had Chief Wiggum's car, so LEGO continued the trend with the Krusty Burger set, but they made it look completely different. You might be wondering why Homer would ever drive around in a clown car, but if you've seen the episode Homie the Clown, you already know the answer. In this episode, Homer sees a billboard for clown school and gets a job as Krusty the Clown. The entire episode is dedicated to Homer living his new clown life, so of course his whip had to get a makeover. It's crazy though, because there's still another reference to this episode in the Krusty Burger set. This episode has one of the funniest scenes ever, where the Hamburglar is fake stealing giant burgers for an ad campaign, and instead of going along with it, Homer beats the bricks out of it. The kids in the audience are completely traumatized, and one of them even begs Homer to stop.
Stop! He's already He did.
Once some people finally pull Homer off of him, it's clear he's in bad shape, but he might have been in worse shape than we thought, because on the back of the Krusty Burger, there's a missing poster with his face on it. This is obviously a reference to the clip of the kid yelling that he's dead, and I have to say, this reference is really well done. There's some other stuff on the wall next to this poster that are references too. I already talked about Bart's graffiti tag and how it really ties all three sets together, but the other stuff is referencing Sideshow Bob. In season 6, he ran for mayor of Springfield, so that's why the voting sticker is there. But if you notice, there's also a voting sticker for a rake. In any other universe, this wouldn't make any sense, but as we all know, Sideshow Bob has some really bad luck when it comes to stepping on rakes. For some reason, they always seem to find him, and he always steps on them and hits himself in the face. It's really cool how everything here is referencing certain episodes, and there's a sticker inside that keeps that train going. Right next to the entrance to the play place, there's a poster on the wall advertising the Mother Nature Burger, but considering how that went, they should probably just take it down. This is from the finale of season 20, Coming to Homerica, when the Krusty Burger gets named the unhealthiest fast food place in the world.
Studies show your Krusty Burger is the unhealthiest fast food item in the world.
Krusty tried to fight the allegations by making a vegetarian burger, otherwise known as the Mother Nature Burger, but one of the ingredients got contaminated by rat meat. Ew, dude. So not only was it not vegetarian, but everyone ended up getting food poisoning too. Oh, and just like how the car was made after the Homie the Clown episode, Krusty's minifigure is based on his outfit from Coming to Homerica, which is a really nice touch. To end the video, I'm going to show you the most famous detail in all of LEGO Simpsons. Pretty much every set in the Brickheadz theme has a fun Easter egg inside of them somewhere. Woody from Toy Story has a stuffing piece, Eve from WALL-E has a plant, you get the idea. The Easter eggs are always references to the character. Another thing Brickheadz always have though are pink 2x2 bricks for brains, but Homer has something a little different. Because of how stupid he is, they gave him a 1x1 plate instead. If there was a way to somehow cram a crayon in there too, that would have been sick. But I'm definitely not complaining about the plate piece. Now, if you've played Minecraft, you know that iron golems are these massive protectors that defend villages from hostile mobs. They're absolutely huge in-game, and they're one of the strongest allies you can have. So when LEGO made the Iron Golem Fortress set in 2023, they had a choice to make. They could either build a fortress with an Iron Golem, or they could do something way cooler. And trust me, they did something way cooler. The entire fortress transforms into a giant playable Iron Golem. You can literally pick up the entire build, rearrange the sections, and turn it into this massive golem figure that stands on its own. It's basically a display piece and an action figure all in one. This is one of the coolest play features in LEGO Minecraft, but another one is in the original Ender Dragon set from 2014. The Ender Dragon is the final boss in Minecraft. You travel to the end, fight your way through Endermen, and then you have this epic boss battle. In-game, the dragon flies around in circles, swooping down to attack you and then flying back up. So how did LEGO recreate that? Well, if you press down on one of the cubes on the dragon's back, the wings actually flap. It's such a simple mechanism, but it makes the dragon feel alive instead of just being a static playpiece. And since the wing pieces look like actual wings instead of the brick-built ones in the newer set, it just makes it look 10 times better. But now, let's talk about the Creeper set from 2025. Now, obviously, everyone knows what a Creeper is, but do you know how the Creeper was created? Because it was never actually supposed to exist. The creator was trying to code a pig, and he accidentally swapped the height and width values. So instead of a short, wide pig, he got this tall, skinny creature with a pig's face on it. And instead of fixing the mistake, he turned it into the Creeper. But how did LEGO reference this? Well, if you open up the Creeper's head, there's a minifigure of that original pig shaped like a creeper inside of it. This story has gotten pretty big over the years, so pretty much everyone gets the reference as soon as they see it. But speaking of what's inside creepers, the baby pig's birthday celebration set has another creeper detail. Creepers are basically walking bombs, and even though Minecraft's been around forever, we have no idea what the anatomy of a creeper actually is, so we have no idea why they explode. So when LEGO made this set, instead of putting a pig creeper in there, they put a small block of TNT, since this creeper was actually big enough to fit something inside of its head. Anyways, now let's talk about the Pillager Outpost and Ravager set. Ravagers show up during village raids, and they're these massive angry creatures with huge mouths full of teeth. They charge at you, deal massive damage, and destroy crops just by walking over them. So when LEGO made this set, they had to capture that aggressive energy somehow, and they did it with one button. There's a button mechanism built into the Ravager's back, and when you press it, the mouth opens like it's about to bite something. It's such a simple play feature, but it makes the Ravager way more fun to interact with. Another set from 2025 with a clever play feature is the Trial Chamber. Now, if you've played the recent Minecraft updates, you know about the Breeze. It's this hostile mob that floats around trial chambers and shoots wind projectiles that knock you back. LEGO made a spring-loaded shooter for this set, but here's the clever part. The shooter has a specific connection point designed for the Breeze. You can attach it above the shooter, and when you fire it, it looks like it's actually shooting the projectile. LEGO could have just made a generic shooter, but instead they engineered it specifically to work with the Breeze, which is really sick. But now, let's talk about the Parrot Houses set, because this one has something that's actually a really big deal. This set has the first Minecraft minifigure with a 2-color arm mold. Now, if you don't collect a lot of LEGO, you might not realize how rare 2-color arm molds actually are. Most minifigures just have solid color arms, or they have printed designs on them. But 2-color arm molds have 2 different colors molded together into one piece, and they're way more expensive to produce. You need special manufacturing equipment to inject 2 colors of plastic into the mold at the same time. And it's crazy that a Minecraft minifigure got one, since they don't even get printed legs. Minifigures in most LEGO themes have printed details on the legs, but Minecraft has always had plain solid color legs. So the fact that Minecraft got a 2-color arm mold before they got printed legs is honestly pretty wild. But let's move on to the Badlands Mineshaft set, because it's one of the only sets that made the exploding TNT play feature way cooler. It's one of the oldest play features in LEGO Minecraft, and usually it just pops out some blocks. But in this set, lava actually falls in its place. This has literally happened to all of us in-game. I've gotten lazy digging a million times and just blown up the cave with TNT, only to get jump scared by lava and have to start all over. This is a rite of passage in Minecraft, so it's awesome to see it in LEGO. But now, let's talk about the Cherry Blossom Garden set, because this one has 2 cool details, and they both have to do with the sniffer. Since these guys are pretty new, here's a general breakdown of how they work. There are these ancient passive mobs that wander around peacefully, and their main thing is sniffing the ground to find seeds. In-game, you see them lower their heads and sniff the dirt, so LEGO included a play feature that makes the sniffer sniff. But it doesn't stop there. Remember, all these guys do is sniff up seeds. So in the set, there are seed pieces hidden in the terrain, and when you make the sniffer sniff in the right spot, he pushes them above ground, just like how they do in Minecraft. LEGO never makes a play feature based on a mob's function in-game, so this was really cool to see. Another hidden detail is in the Pirate Ship Voyage set. This one comes with a brick-built camel, and in-game, camels are desert mobs. The whole point of them is that they can store water for long periods of time, just like how they do in real life. So what did LEGO do? They put a blue 2x4 brick inside the camel's body to represent water. You'd have to buy this set just to know this detail existed, so there's no way I could have left it out. Anyways, let's move on to the Nether Portal Ambush set, because there's a play feature in here that hits really close to home, just like that lava TNT detail. This set comes with a ghast, and before you ask, yes, it can in fact shoot fireballs, but that's nowhere near the coolest thing about this set. LEGO made it so these fireballs can shoot out really fast, which is very important for this set in particular. In-game, all of our worst nightmares is a ghast shooting the Nether portal and locking us in the Nether. And because of how fast the fireballs shoot in the LEGO version, you can actually recreate this exact nightmare. The purple pieces for the portal act like breakaway glass, so you can shoot them and make the portal look extinguished, which is really sick. Another hidden detail is in the Turtle Beach House set, and this one's pretty similar to the blue brick in the camel. If you look inside the turtle's head, you can find a brain piece, like what LEGO does for brickheads. It's completely hidden once the turtle is fully assembled, so you'd never know it was there, which I think is really funny. Anyways, now let's talk about the Bee Cottage set, because LEGO had to get pretty creative for this one. Since this set is focused around bees, it meant that LEGO had to somehow incorporate them into the build, even though bees can fly and LEGO bricks can't. So how did they do it? Well, first they had to make them float, and to do that, they took advantage of transparent clear pieces and mounted them to a tree. Now, from far away, they almost look like they're floating, but they still had the second problem, making them fly. But luckily, they killed 2 birds with 1 stone. Because of how it's built, you can flick the bees and they'll spin around in circles like they're flying. It's not the most accurate play feature, but they need literal magic to make LEGO bees fly around everywhere. So this is more than good enough. But let's jump back to an older set for a second, because the Snow Hideout set from 2015 has an exploding snow block feature. Obviously, explosions destroy blocks and send them flying in every direction, so LEGO built a mechanism where you can trigger an explosion and make snow blocks fly off the build. This is the only exploding play feature I've seen that doesn't have TNT, so I just had to put it in the video. Another set from 2015 with a sick detail is the Nether Fortress, and it has to do with glowstone. Glowstone is this bright yellowish block that spawns in the Nether. It emits the maximum light level in the game, making it one of the best light sources you can use. So how did LEGO recreate this? Well, they used glow-in-the-dark pieces for the glowstone blocks. If you turn off the lights, the set actually glows just like glowstone does in-game, but don't expect it to light up your entire room. It's only a few studs. This isn't the only cool detail in this set though. The Ghast comes with 2 different facial expressions that you can swap out. Ghast float around looking sad until they spot a player. Then they get all angry and start shooting fireballs. So LEGO included both faces as printed tiles, which is such a nice touch. Moving on from that though, let's talk about the cave set from 2014, because it has a detail you'd only notice after you've finished building. Where the lava flow meets the water stream, there are 2 black 2x2s just sitting there. And even though they seem random, they actually aren't. They're sitting right where the lava and water come together. And what happens in Minecraft when you mix lava and water? You get obsidian. So these black 2x2s are there to represent that ore. Another set from 2014 with a surprising detail is the crafting box. This one comes with a table that shows how every block in Minecraft is built in LEGO. It's basically a periodic table that shows which LEGO pieces represent which Minecraft blocks. So if you're building and you're not sure what a certain piece is supposed to be, you can just check the table. The crafting box sets are also special because they always have these really cool designs on the box, but the boxes for LEGO Minecraft in general have actually evolved a lot over the years. In 2014, the sets had this green trim around the perimeter with a creeper's face in the top right corner, but in 2017, LEGO changed it to a pickaxe. The next change happened in 2018, and this time they changed the pickaxe to a picture of Alex and Steve. After this, the next change was in 2020, and that year they just took the trim away, which was pretty weird because they literally just brought it back in 2023, except now it had this cool pixelated effect in the corner. The biggest change though was for the Minecraft movie. These sets all got realistic box art, which looked really cool compared to the regular box design, and it matches the movie really well. But now let's take a look at the Trading Post set. This one comes with a Wandering Trader minifigure, and in-game, the Wandering Trader shows up randomly and offers trades for rare items. In the set, LEGO built him his own little trading stand, which isn't technically how they work in-game, but at the stand, you can flip the table over to reveal items available for trade. LEGO always gives Minecraft sets little play features, and this one fits this set really well. Another fun detail is in the Mountain Cave set from 2017, and it also has to do with a minifigure. This one comes with 6 of them, but one of them is a charged creeper, and the Mountain Cave was actually the first set to get one. In-game, charged creepers are super rare, since the only way they happen is if a creeper gets struck by lightning. And out of every set in LEGO Minecraft, you can only find a charged creeper in 4 of them, which makes sense because of how rare they are in-game. But now, let's talk about the Nether Railway set from 2017. I know it looks pretty boring, but there's actually a really cool detail with the magma cube. When you go past it on the cart, there's a mechanism that makes it look like it's jumping, just like it does in-game. Now, obviously, it isn't 100% accurate since it doesn't separate into different layers, but this is still a really cool play feature. This last detail, though, is gonna blow your mind. The Illager raid set comes with 5 minifigures, 2 Illagers, 2 villagers, and Kai from Ninjago. Now, I have no idea why he's here in the Minecraft universe, but this isn't the first time LEGO's done something like this. They also made a minifigure of Nick Bluetooth from Galador for the Minecraft theme. So I guess when LEGO makes cameo minifigures for Minecraft, they have to be famous. So who knows, maybe Emmett will be next. And in case you didn't know, this theme has one of the most in-depth plot lines out of any LEGO branded theme. But for now, I want to focus on the artist in the Parisian restaurant. I talked about this artist in a different video, and how he's basically based on Piet Mondrian, the man behind the inspiration for LEGO's original colors. But his minifigure counterpart can do a lot more than just paint. 2016. On page 93 of the instructions for the Natural History Museum set, you'll find an interesting piece of lore about the pottery. It reads, these highly detailed replicas of ancient pottery were created specifically for the museum by the artist living above 10243 Parisian Restaurant. It's a really small piece of lore, but it's a great way to build up the world around the modular buildings theme. It isn't the only piece of minifigure lore hiding in this set though. There's a man from the LEGO Adventures theme known as Dr. Kilroy. He's had a few different names and outfits over the years, but Dr. Kilroy is how most people know him. He's an expert archaeologist who knows everything from the cultures of ancient civilizations to dinosaurs based on their skeletons, and no matter how dangerous an adventure is, he's always down for the fight. No matter where he is in the world, he's always seen with a red bow tie and a white pith helmet, but after all the years of adventuring, he took off his helmet and settled down as the curator of the Natural History Museum, where he still wears his bright red bow tie. It only makes sense that someone with so much knowledge would end up working at a museum, but there's something about Dr. Kilroy I haven't told you yet. He's actually the uncle of Johnny Thunder, the hero of the LEGO Adventures theme, and he taught Johnny everything he knows. The two traveled everywhere together, and Johnny ended up making a pretty big name for himself. So big, in fact, that there's a picture of him in the Mummy Museum set from the Scooby-Doo theme. Johnny's story is a lot like his uncle's, but because of the fame, he can be found in a million different places in LEGO. I could make an entire video just about Johnny's lore, so if you want that, let me know in the comments and subscribe to see it when it comes out. Anyways, Johnny Thunder and Dr. Kilroy aren't the only minifigures in the Adventurers theme with lore across different sets, because Samuel Sinister also has a pretty cool story. This guy first showed up in the Egypt sub-theme, and just like Johnny and his uncle, he also has a few different names. But one that you might recognize is Baron von Baron. You won't recognize it because he's famous or anything. You'll recognize it because of the Haunted House set from the Icons theme. The name of the set is just Haunted House, but the actual name of the house is Manor von Baron, and it belongs to Baron von Baron. This guy was the main villain in the Adventurers theme, and wherever Johnny Thunder went, he went too. The two were always competing to see who could find the coolest stuff first, but while Johnny Thunder was donating what he found to museums, Baron von Baron kept everything for himself, and this Haunted House set is where he keeps his most prized possessions, which of course includes a giant portrait of himself. I mean, he is a villain after all. But why exactly is his house haunted? Well, Baron wasn't exactly wary of who he was stealing from, because on one of his adventures, he disturbed the tomb of Pharaoh Hotep. Him and Johnny were both in this tomb, but Baron tried to steal a ruby, and Pharaoh Hotep wasn't very happy about this. So he dragged him into the unknown and trapped him in the mummy's curse, which consisted of Pharaoh Hotep cracking off incredibly corny jokes until the Baron went mad. So that's why his house is haunted, and it's also why the ruby never made it into his collection. But something he did manage to steal was the Orb of Ogle, and while the orb itself isn't very important, the man behind it is. His name is Evil Ogle, and he's the main villain in a theme called Alpha Team. This theme came out back in 2001, so would you believe me if I told you that Evil Ogle has a connection to the castle theme? He's connected specifically to the Second Knight's Kingdom sub-theme, but he's the great-great-great-great-great-grandson of the main villain in the theme, Vladek. Now, even though the Second Knight's Kingdom sub-theme came out 3 years after Alpha Team, the story in the LEGO universe goes back 6 generations, since Vladek is from medieval times and Ogle is from the future. But how do we even know this is true? Well, the LEGO Club used to interview minifigures, and they interviewed Ogle back in 2005. Along with him saying he's changing his name to Misunderstood Ogle because nobody understands him. Bro's emo, I guess. He also says that just like great-great-great-great-great-grandfather Vladek, he hates summer. Now, I have no idea why this guy hates summer, so if you do, let me know in the comments. But this is the perfect example of a fun little piece of lore hiding deep within LEGO. The best pieces of lore in LEGO, though, are the ones that LEGO themselves don't even talk about. Over the years, we've seen different minifigures live out their entire lives across different sets. And when LEGO does this, they don't even say a word. One of the most popular examples of this is the baby from LEGO City. We first saw him in the Fun in the Park set from 2016. Then 2 years later, we saw him and his parents go camping in the Pickup and Caravan set. And to end it off, we saw him go camping with a family of his own in the Holiday Camper Van set from 2021. These 3 sets were released over the course of 5 years, and all 3 of them showed this guy at 3 different stages in his life. But the thing is, not every minifigure's life is this peaceful and happy. This guy got to live his life going camping with family, but the skater minifigure had a much worse fate. He made his appearance in Series 1 of the collectible minifigure packs, all the way back in 2010. But by 2015, he'd somehow died and turned into a zombie. I don't know where this guy was for this to happen to him, but in 2015, LEGO released a book called I Love That Minifigure, which came with the zombified skater as an exclusive. Obviously, this is a pretty dark dark plotline for a minifigure. But unfortunately, this is nothing out of the ordinary for LEGO, because they did something similar with 2 other minifigures too. The first one I'll talk about is the Lumberjack. This guy came in Series 5 of the minifigure packs, which came out in 2011. Now, the thing about these minifigure packs is that after a few years of making them, LEGO started giving some of them themes, and making every minifigure match that theme. Like how Series 26's theme was space, and how Series 14's was Halloween themed. But if you look closely at the werewolf minifigure in Series 14, you'll probably notice how similar his outfit looks to the Lumberjacks from Series 5. And that's because it isn't just similar, it's the same outfit on the same guy. The werewolf even has the name tag on his shirt to prove it. At least the Lumberjack got to live though, because I can't say the same for an underwater diver in the Aqua Raiders theme. Now, I'm not sure exactly which diver this is, but if you look at this picture of the Portal of Atlantis set from the Atlantis theme, you'll see this skeleton with a helmet on laying in front of the gate. And if you look closely at the helmet, you'll see that it's the exact same kind the divers in Aqua Raiders wore, which means this skeleton is a dead diver from Aqua Raiders. I guess one of them was able to make the discovery of a lifetime, but unfortunately, that meant their lifetime had to be cut short. Now, the Portal to Atlantis set was literally the first set in the Atlantis theme, so if we skip ahead about 20 sets to the Deep Sea Raider, we can find another piece of minifigure lore, but for it to make sense, I have to tell you about a man named Dr. Brains. This guy was the scientist in the Power Miners theme, a theme that ended the same year Atlantis started. Power Miners was all about exploring underground, while Atlantis was about exploring underwater. Once the Power Miners project ended, Dr. Brains just wasn't satisfied and wanted to keep exploring the lower regions of Earth. So instead of giving up, he decided to become a diver for the Atlantis project. He even used the same name, so you know for sure it's him. Minifigures go through career changes like this all the time. I mean, what else are you supposed to do when LEGO retires your theme? And another minifigure with a similar story is Solomon Blaze from Galaxy Squad. This is a sub-theme to the space theme, and it was only around in 2013. Solomon was the leader of the blue team, but since this sub-theme didn't exist for very long, there isn't that much information on him. Once Galaxy Squad retired though, Solomon went on to lead the Ultra Agents in the Ultra Agents theme. This theme only came out 1 year after Galaxy Squad was retired, but I guess in the LEGO universe, the time between these two themes was a lot longer, because Solomon went gray, and I think he even got a prosthetic leg too. Galaxy Squad and Ultra Agents were both about fighting crime, so I guess losing a leg makes sense. But when you make a theme about secret agents fighting insane villains, you're bound to end up with someone like the Spy. This guy's story is very hard to follow, so I guess he's really good at his job. He was first released in Series 16 of the minifigure packs, but according to LEGO, he's been around for way longer than that. We just never knew it. The official description for him is on Wikipedia, and the original source from LEGO's website is gone. So LEGO's accidentally doing a really good job of covering up his past, which is very fitting. His description says that he's codenamed Agent A, and that his first recorded mission was for an organization called Alpha Team. Several years later, he was spotted infiltrating the volcano lair of Dr. Inferno shortly before its implosion. Although presumed lost in the line of duty, he resurfaced in the daring rescue of captured Galaxy Squad pilot Solomon Blaze from alien bugoids before disappearing once again. Now, there are absolutely no visuals for this, which is why it's so hard to follow. I mean, the only set that got named was the volcano base in the Agents theme. And of course, since he's a spy, he's not on the list of minifigures that come with this set. The Spy is one of the most elusive minifigures in all of LEGO. And since literally every theme he's involved with is retired now, it's gonna stay that way. Probably. The truth is, LEGO could just bring him back out of nowhere in 2, 5, or even 10 years. When LEGO builds a story around a character, they like to keep it going for as long as possible, like our GOAT Johnny Thunder. But they also like to make it as deep as possible. So allow me to introduce you to someone with a surprisingly deep story, the detective. LEGO's made a lot of detectives over the years, but this one in particular was released in Series 5 of the minifigure packs back in 2011. He's said to be an incredible detective who's solved many mysteries, including the Brickster's baffling brick napping from Lego Island. But what is this mystery? Well, the Brickster is a minifigure from the Island Extreme Stunts theme from 2001, but it goes back further than that. Before it was a theme, Island Extreme Stunts was actually a video game called Lego Island. It came out in 1997, and the main plot of it was to catch Brickster. He had broken out of jail and was stealing a bunch of stuff all over the island, and if it weren't for the detective, he probably never would have gotten caught. Lego Island has gained a huge fan base over the years, probably because of how deep the lore is, so it's no wonder there's another character that gets referenced too, the Infomaniac. This guy is basically the narrator of the Lego Island games. When you first load into the game, he shows up and tells you how to sign in so you can actually play. And after that, he kind of just guides you through the rest of the game. In the real world, he's only been in 3 different sets, one of which was a polybag dedicated to him, so that one doesn't even really count. But the other 2 were set 6740, the Extreme Tower, and set 9247, Community Workers. His entire thing is that he's an information hub and is always willing to help, and he was actually spotted doing his job in a very odd place, the Monkey Kid City of Lantern set. This city is pretty big, and might be a little bit confusing if you've never been there before. So to help you out, the Infomaniac is just chilling at the bottom of the city. A lot of minifigure stories get continued like this, where LEGO just throws them in as Easter eggs in some random set. And one minifigure with a surprisingly funny story like this is the goat. It was super rare and expensive, and for a while, LEGO only used the mold one time. But we weren't the only ones freaking out about the goat. Minifigures were too. Originally, the goat was only in the Mill Village Raid set from 2011, and as the years went on, more and more people started to realize that this was the only time LEGO used the actual mold for the minifigure, let alone the minifigure itself. Because of this, it got super popular, and LEGO literally never said a word about it. That is, until they released the Ninjago City Market set in 2023, and they finally broke the silence. One of the stickers in the set shows someone looking for a missing goat. A lot of people took this as a hint that the goat would finally be coming back, and they were actually right. In January of 2024, LEGO put the goat in Series 25 of the minifigure packs, making it the second LEGO product to use the goat mold. It doesn't end there though. Just a few months later, LEGO released the Medieval Town Square set, and one of the stickers in that set shows that someone put the goat they were selling on sale. This was obviously because LEGO put it in the Series 25 pack, and since it was finally back, prices for the goat had gone way down. See what I mean now? Even the minifigures were tapped in. Now, if you watched Season 1, you know Barb went missing after getting dragged into the Upside Down by the Demogorgon at Steve's pool party. The entire internet exploded with the Justice for Barb movement because fans were pissed that she got completely forgotten by the town while everyone was out searching for Will. So the missing poster on the trees makes sense as a reference to that. But here's where LEGO got clever with it. The only way you could have gotten a Barbara minifigure was if you went to the 2019 Comic-Con in San Diego and won a raffle. She's not in any other set, which makes her stupidly rare and hard to find. So this missing poster kind of works 2 ways. Barb is missing in the show, and she's missing from a lot of people's LEGO collections because she's so exclusive. But another reference you probably missed is a pumpkin just sitting in the back of Hopper's truck. In Season 2, Episode 4, Chief Hopper drives out to this farm to investigate why all the pumpkins in the fields are rotting and dying for no reason. The farmer is freaking out because his entire crop is just dead. And this was actually one of the first big signs that the Upside Down was spreading underneath Hawkins through all the tunnels. So LEGO threw a pumpkin in Hopper's truck to reference that investigation. But here's something actually wild about that truck. When you flip the set over to show the Upside Down version of the house, the truck doesn't fall off. You'd think gravity would just yeet it across the room, but no. There are connection points built into the underside that lock onto the set. So when you flip it over, the truck just stays there, perfectly suspended upside down. But if you thought that was clever, the box itself is reversible too. You can literally flip the box and display it with either the normal world on top or the Upside Down on top. And there are logos printed on both sides to show this was 100% intentional. So LEGO didn't just design the set to flip, they designed the packaging around that concept too. But now let's talk about Will Byers for a second, because there are a ridiculous amount of details about him scattered throughout this set. First up, there's this tile piece with a drawing on it, and it's Will's personal artwork of Will the Wise. If you've watched the show, you know Will is constantly drawing, and when he plays D&D with Mike, Dustin, and Lucas, his character is a wizard named Will the Wise. So this tile is supposed to represent one of his actual drawings from the show, which is such a perfect character detail, because drawing is literally how Will processes everything he's been through, which I'll get to in a minute. Second, if you go digging around in the attic of the house, you'll actually find Will the Wise's wizard hat stored up there. When the kids play D&D, Will goes all in and dresses up in full costume as Will the Wise, complete with a wizard hat. So it makes total sense that when he's not using it, it would be tucked away in the attic. Now, about processing what he's been through. There's another tile piece that shows Will's drawing of the Mind Flayer from Season 2. After Will gets possessed by the Mind Flayer and becomes a spy for it without realizing what's happening, he starts obsessively drawing it, and these drawings actually become crucial evidence for Joyce and the others to figure out what the Mind Flayer looks like and what it wants. So Will's art literally helps save the day, and LEGO made sure to include it with this tile. Will also has a drawing with the words Zombie Boy boy on it, which has a pretty dark backstory. After Will comes back from the Upside Down, kids at Hawkins Middle School start calling him Zombie Boy because the government faked his death with a fake body that they pulled out of the quarry. So from everyone else's perspective, Will literally died and then came back to life. The nickname is pretty mean, but it's stuck, and Will drew about it, so LEGO included it as a tile piece. While he was missing though, there were posters for him all over town. So just like Barb, Will's poster is also here in this set, but there's something really funny about it. Just like Barb, LEGO turned him into a minifigure for this poster, but they also put his height as 1.5 inches instead of his actual height in the show. This is about the height of a LEGO minifigure, and I guess since that's what's on the poster, it makes sense. Anyways, one of the best features of this entire set is that the Christmas lights on the wall actually light up. In season 1, Joyce paints the entire alphabet on her living room wall in black paint, and then she strings up Christmas lights above each letter. This way, Will can communicate with her from the Upside Down by making lights flicker to spell out words. And the LEGO set has a light brick that you can press with a grill piece attached on the front of it. And this grill piece makes it look like light is coming from the bulbs on the wall. Obviously, it isn't very accurate, and it isn't spelling anything out, but this was a really cool and simple way for LEGO to recreate it. While we're in the living room, if you look around, you can even find the cardboard box that the Christmas lights came in. It's just sitting there as a background piece, but it shows that LEGO went out of their way to include every single element from that scene. Another detail that ties directly into that communication setup are the newspapers covering the windows. At the very beginning of season 1, the Byers house has normal windows like any other house, but once Joyce figures out that Will can communicate with her through the lights, she puts newspapers on every window. That way, no matter what time of day it is, she'll see the light from the Christmas lights. There's also a compass piece that comes with Dustin's minifigure, and it's referencing a really specific moment from season 1. Mike and Lucas are asking Elle where they can find the gate to the Upside Down so they can go get Will back. And while that's happening, Dustin is literally spinning around with a compass in his hand. His compass and all of their other ones are pointing north, except it isn't actually true north. Based on where the sun rises and sets, the way the compasses are pointing can't be true north. Instead, Dustin thinks that the needles are pointing to the gate they're looking for, and he ends up being right. This is a super important moment in season 1, and without Dustin and his compass, they never would have found the gate, so LEGO absolutely had to give him one. Another really important part of Stranger Things is D&D, and there's a tile piece that looks like a D&D rulebook, which couldn't be more perfect for the show. The kids use the game as a base to understand what's happening in Hawkins. When they first encounter the Demogorgon, they literally name it after a D&D monster because that's the only way they can process what they're seeing. The game becomes their language for discussing the Upside Down and everything supernatural, so having a D&D rulebook tile in the set just makes sense. There's also this shark poster hanging on the wall inside the house, and if you know your 80s movie posters, you know it's a direct parody of the iconic Jaws poster. Obviously, LEGO doesn't own the rights to Jaws, so they had to change the word to just say shark instead. The Duffer Brothers built the entire show on 80s nostalgia and references, so it fits perfectly. Speaking of references, here's one you'd only catch if you actually read through the instruction booklets. LEGO includes a little note explaining how the swing on the front porch of the Byers house is a specific reference to The Evil Dead from 1981. The Evil Dead is this cult classic horror movie directed by Sam Raimi, and there's an iconic scene involving a porch swing. So LEGO acknowledged that the Duffer Brothers were nodding to that movie, and they put it in the instructions as a fun fact. Clearly, the brothers took a lot of inspiration from horror movies. I mean, there are weapons all over the place in Stranger Things, so of course they're here in the LEGO set too. There's a bear trap sitting in the hallway, and there's an axe sitting right next to the box for the Christmas lights. Both of these are from the climax of season 1, when Nancy, Jonathan, and Steve lure the Demogorgon to the Byers house so they can kill it. They set up the bear trap to slow it down, and then they attack it with the axe and a baseball bat covered in nails before lighting it on fire. So LEGO included a few of these weapons as little details that fans of the scene would recognize. But now let's talk about the minifigures for a second, specifically 11. Clearly this isn't her regular outfit, and if you remember, this is actually what she wore as a disguise when she escaped from the lab in season 1. She didn't have any hair when she escaped, so it would have been pretty easy for the agents to find her and take her back. So to help her hide and also fit in, Mike, Lucas, and Dustin gave her a makeover. That way the agents would have a harder time finding her, and she will get bullied for being bald. Alright, now we're moving on to the Creel House set, and let me just say, this set is absolutely loaded with details. First off, the entire thing transforms, and it's one of the coolest play features in any LEGO set ever made. In an interview with the designers, they said they wanted to capture as many different versions of the Creel House as possible in this set. There are a ton of different versions, so their solution was this transformation play feature, and they did an incredible job making it. But that's not all. When you actually do transform it, a bunch of hidden details show themselves. First, the grandfather clock suddenly appears in the middle of the house. Now, if you watch season 4, you know this clock is a huge deal. Vecna's victims all see this creepy grandfather clock before they die. The clock itself is from the original Creel house back when Henry lived there as a kid, and Vecna uses it as a psychological weapon to torment people. I can hear the sound just talking about it, so let's move on. There are also stickers that show Vecna's mindscape in different parts of the house. As we learned in seasons 4 and 5, Vecna can trap people's minds inside a fake reality made out of memories. What you see depends on who's in there with you, but because it's Vecna's mindscape, his memories are always there. One of the mindscape stickers specifically shows a graveyard, and this is the graveyard where Max almost died in season 4. Vecna trapped her there and forced her to relive her guilt and trauma over Billy's death. She was standing at Billy's grave in this nightmare version of the cemetery, and Vecna was using that to break her down psychologically before killing her. It's one of the most intense and emotional scenes from season 4, so it'd be kind of crazy if LEGO didn't put it in the set. There's also this really clever play feature where you can change Henry into Vecna. When you transform the house, you can place the Mr. What's-It minifigure on one side of the build and the Vecna minifigure on the other side. Then, when you transform the house, you can see Henry turn into Vecna in real time. Obviously, he isn't actually transforming, but LEGO did a really good job of representing the change in this set. But now, let's go through the set room by room, because there are details hiding everywhere. In Henry's bedroom, you can find a jar on the ground, and this is actually the one that he used to catch spiders. In the show, young Henry was completely obsessed with black widows. He'd catch them and keep them in jars because he thought they were just like him and completely misunderstood. They brought balance to the world by killing things inferior to them, and since Henry's crazy, he wanted to keep them for himself. There's also a book about spiders in his room, and it has a black widow on the cover. His obsession didn't stop with collecting them. He studied them and drew them constantly in his notebooks. They're a big part of his character, so it's good that LEGO added them to the set. Another big part of his character is obviously the mind flare, and the drawing that Henry made of it gets its own separate tile piece in his room. Anyways, moving on to Holly's room, there's a fire poker just sitting there, and this is actually the exact fire poker she uses in season 5. She wants to fight her way out of Vecna's mindscape after meeting Max, so she uses it as a weapon, and it definitely came in handy. You can also find a hat in Holly's room, and this belonged to Mr. What's-It, which was the fake name Henry used when he was disguising himself. Mr. What's-It was how he presented himself to people while hiding his true identity, so the hat represents that disguise. But if you go up to the attic of the Creel house, there's a tile piece showing a drawing of Max and Lucas together. This is from season 4, when Lucas drew a picture of Max and brought it to her while she was hiding in the attic. Max was isolating herself and dealing with her trauma over Billy's death, and Lucas was trying to reach her and show her that people cared about her. It's a moment everyone loved, so LEGO wanted to recreate it. There's also this tile piece that references the Stranger Things Broadway show. Yes, Stranger Things has an actual stage play that ran on Broadway, and LEGO included what looks like promo for it as a tile piece. It's such a deep cut reference that 90% of the people building this set wouldn't even realize what it is. But for the hardcore fans who know about the Broadway show, it's a great reference. Steve Harrington's car is also included in this set, and if you look at the license plate, you'll notice that it's not just a random number, it's the set number for the Creel house. LEGO does something like this pretty much every time they make a license plate, so it's no surprise to see it here too. But one thing I haven't really covered in this set yet are the minifigures. So let's start with something that's either an amazing coincidence or hilarious planning. When you're building the set, the 11 minifigure comes in bag number 11. There's no way LEGO did this by accident. I mean, it's just too perfect. Anyways, next, Will Byers' minifigure comes with 2 different faceplates, and one of them has completely white eyes. In season 5, Will unlocks this ability to tap into the hive mind, and when he does, his eyes go totally white. It's this creepy visual that shows he's connected to Vecna and the Demogorgons, so LEGO gave him a second faceplate specifically for that power. Next, Lucas comes with a boombox, and this is actually really important to his storyline in season 5. After Max gets put in a coma by Vecna, Lucas visits her in the hospital constantly, and he always brings this boombox with a cassette tape of Max's favorite song, Running Up That Hill by Kate Bush. In season 4, they discovered that music can break Vecna's curse and pull people out of his mindscape, so Lucas keeps playing that song for Max over and over, hoping it'll help her wake up. And in season 5, when Max can finally escape Vecna's mindscape again, Lucas plays the song for her, even though he's being hunted down by demo dogs and is literally about to die. Next up is Robin, and she comes with 2 accessories that reference 2 completely different moments. First, First, she has headphones because in season 5, she's a radio host known as Rockin' Robin. She sends out coded messages over the radio that help the group get together so they can investigate the Upside Down and track down Vecna. Without Robin on the radio, they wouldn't be able to communicate or stay organized, but she also comes with a brick piece, and this is because in season 4, when the group goes to investigate the real Creel house for the first time, Robin literally picks up a brick from the ground and throws it through the stained glass window to break in. So both of her accessories are specific to her character, just from different seasons. Up next, Max's minifigure is wearing a very specific outfit, and it's not her regular look. This is the outfit she's wearing in the Mindscape, where she meets Holly. So LEGO didn't just give her a generic outfit, they chose the exact one from season 5. Next, Dustin's minifigure is wearing his Hellfire Club t-shirt, but instead of having the demon design from the show, the LEGO version has a red minifigure skull on it. In season 4, Dustin joins the Hellfire Club, which is the outcasts and weirdos club at Hawkins High led by Eddie Munson. The club's logo usually has a demon on it, but LEGO changed it to make it more family friendly. Up next is Jonathan, but his detail is actually a lot more weird and disappointing than cool. When you look at his minifigure, you'll notice that there's no printing on his arms, but for some reason, the instructions show him with arm prints. LEGO doesn't usually make mistakes like this, but I guess they had a more detailed version of Jonathan that never ended up getting made. Anyways, moving on from minifigures, there's a tile piece with a rabbit on it, and fans are pretty sure this is referencing the scene from season 4 where Henry kills a rabbit. It's not 100% confirmed by LEGO, but given how many other specific references are packed into this set and how infamous that scene is, it would make sense. Okay, that's everything in the Creel house, but we still have the Squawk and the Brickhead sets, so let's start with the Squawk. On the glass window of the broadcast booth, there's a little drawing, and this is actually the plan that the group comes up with to finally kill Vecna and the Mind Flayer. They came up with the plan in the Squawk, so it's cool to see that LEGO remembered it. But finally, let's talk about the Demogorgon Brickhead set, because honestly, this is the only Stranger Things Brickhead set that has anything worth talking about. You know how LEGO always gives these sets 2x2 pink bricks for a brain? Well, they did something a little different for the Demogorgon. Instead of a pink 2x2, they made the brain out of a pink 1x2 and a green 1x2. And I think they did this because the Demogorgon is a monster, and green is a good color to represent that. But they also added something in its body. In the middle, you can see this red 1x2 brick with blue 1x2 plates on the top and bottom of it. And I think LEGO was trying to make a cold-blooded heart. Demogorgons being cold-blooded is super important for the plot. So if I'm right, this would be really sick. Imagine it's 2007 and you're building the Imperial landing craft set from LEGO Star Wars. You're just following along with the instructions, then you get to step 27 on page 20, and there's just nothing. Like, the step number is there, the parts box is there, but it's completely empty. It's like LEGO just forgot to finish designing the page. And the weirdest part is that this made it all the way to the final printed manual, and it never got revised online. Usually when LEGO messes up, they'll fix the mistake in the online version, but this one is still there. But at least that empty step doesn't completely mess up your build, because the mistake in the Willy Wonka's set instructions is 10 times worse. You're building the Chocolate River boat, and in step 394, the white stern of the boat is clearly visible on the back. But then you look at step 395 and it's just gone. It literally vanishes into thin air. Then in step 396, it magically reappears like nothing ever happened. The design team acknowledged this was an error after people started freaking out online. But imagine building this set without knowing about it. Something just like this happened to me when I was building the Windmill Village Hut set from One Piece. And I flipped the pages back and forth like 5 times before I realized that LEGO messed up. Not me. But even if the instructions are 100% right, you can still get rage baited, especially if you build the Colosseum set. The entire set is basically one section that you build 40 times. You make one arch with all of the columns and details, and then you do it again, and again, and again, and again, until you've gone completely insane and made an entire circle. But here's the best part. The last instruction booklet opens with, "Congratulations, you're nearly there." They know this set is mind-numbing and repetitive, and they're congratulating you for not giving up. even though you probably did. The worst part though is that this happens with a lot more sets than just the Colosseum, because it happened with Captain America's shield too. Obviously, after the Colosseum, LEGO learned that people will deal with repetitive builds if the final result looks cool. So they made the Captain America's shield set, and this one has you repeating sections either 36 or 18 times, depending on which part you're building. But pretty much everything in the beginning is 36. It's on page 17, page 18, page 20, page 22. I mean, I could go on. Obviously, the end result is pretty cool, but I think if the 16th page of a set I'm building looked like this, I'd want to give up immediately. Like, this is genuinely insane. But if you think 36 repeated sections sounds bad, let me tell you about the world map set. This set has over 11,695 pieces, and besides 4,292 of them, literally every single one is a 1x1 stud or tile. And the entire time you're building, all you're doing is putting these studs and tiles down, one at a time. The worst part though has to be the color code you're expected to use. Every stud or tile is numbered, and I know this square may seem like a lot, but it's only 16 by 16 studs. So you're only putting down 256 pieces here, which is a literal drop in the bucket for this set. If you notice though, the background for the instructions is black, which isn't a problem for this set, but for other ones, it was one of the most annoying things ever. LEGO stopped doing this after 2021, so the world map was one of the last sets to have this black background. But when I was looking for stuff for this video, I found out that the instructions for the UCS Batmobile from 2006 had a black background. I don't think I need to explain why this is a problem, but unfortunately, I couldn't find any pictures online of what the original booklet actually looked like. The one LEGO has online now has a blue background, but to me, it's pretty obvious that it wasn't always like this. For one, there are really faded bat signals on some of the pages, which would show up a lot better on a black background. But then the steps themselves just look weird. Instructions this old are always going to be low quality, but this almost looks like a bad Photoshop job if you ask me. But now let's get into the stuff that takes forever to build, but in a different way than the Colosseum and Cap's shield. The roller coaster set from 2018 has one step where you connect 203 chain links together to make one gigantic chain. Again, it's not spread across multiple steps where you build sections and connect them later. It's just one step that says make a chain out of 203 pieces. These pieces are tiny and difficult to connect, and the worst part is that this chain is literally essential to the set. It's the track the roller coaster sits on, so without it, the set is basically pointless. Whenever you have to make a chain like this in any LEGO set, it's always annoying. But the Sandcrawler from LEGO Star Wars takes it to another level. Instead of being one long line, these pieces have to be fitted to the feet of the vehicle. At first, it doesn't seem that bad, since it's nowhere near as many pieces as the roller coaster, but you just haven't figured it out yet. You need to build 4 of these feet, which means you have to do the same thing 4 times over, and the instructions makes it feel even longer. They have you make these treads 38 pieces at a time, and you have to do it 8 times, which is a total of 304 chain pieces. It may not be all in one go, but it's more than the roller coaster by a lot. But then there's the ship in a bottle set, which has the most insane instruction step I've ever seen. Obviously, this set is based on a real ship in a bottle, but what the LEGO version has that the real thing usually doesn't is water inside the bottle. They used a bunch of trans-clear blue studs to represent the water, and so far, nothing about this is rage bait at all, but you just haven't seen the instructions yet. Once you build the bottle the ship sits in, LEGO tells you to just dump all 284 studs into the bottle. It's by far the easiest instruction in any LEGO set ever made, but I just can't get over how ridiculous it is. But unfortunately, this is where things get genuinely bad. The Technic Ferrari Daytona SP3 is a $400 set, so you'd expect the instructions to be perfect, right? Well, they weren't, and it wasn't just one little mistake like the one in the Willy Wonka set. The paper manual had multiple critical errors, including reversed wave selectors, swapped check marks and X marks, gear positions that were physically impossible, and leftover pieces that were supposed to be on the set but weren't. LEGO even sent the set out early to some people, and they were able to catch the mistakes, but this was the finished product, so everyone who bought the set got instructions that made it impossible to build. LEGO updated the digital instructions with all the fixes, but if you bought the set at launch and only had the paper manual, you were screwed on a $400 purchase. And Technic sets are already complicated, so imagine getting instructions that are just straight up wrong. Something similar happened with the Jazz Club set, but it was such an easy thing to miss that LEGO didn't catch it in time. As you follow the instructions, it tells you to keep using pieces from bag 12, but the thing is, bag 12 was completely empty. You check the bag, shake it out, look everywhere, and there's nothing left. So you're sitting there thinking LEGO forgot to pack pieces into your set. People were contacting support, posting on forums, and trying anything to get replacement pieces. But it turns out that the instructions just left out the part where you're supposed to open bag 13. It's such a simple mistake, but it caused so much confusion. Because I don't know about you, but I've never even heard of this problem in another set. I can only imagine how confused I'd be if this happened to me. But here's one that genuinely makes no sense, and it's basically the origin story of this entire topic. A certain instruction manual showed a 3-stud long plate stretching across 4 studs, which is obviously physically impossible. This one has been viral for years, and is the main one people use when they talk about mistakes in instructions. So there's no way I could have left it out. I mean, this step is the original rage bait. One thing I haven't covered yet, though, is when LEGO tells you to use less pieces than you're supposed to. The Emperor Palpatine's shuttle set has a step where the parts box shows 1 red lightsaber blade and 1 hilt, but the image shows 2 blades and 2 hilts being used. So which is it? Do you need 1 or 2? There's literally no way to figure it out besides building the rest of the set and hoping you were right, because LEGO didn't even fix the typo in the online version like they usually do. And the same thing happened with the Cozy House set from 2023. On page 89, the instructions show pieces being removed between steps 2 and 3, and then those same pieces being back on in step 4. The steps were clearly printed in the wrong order, so if you follow the instructions exactly like you're supposed to, you'll take pieces off just to put them right back on. But this next one isn't a mistake like everything else in this video. It's grade A rage bait because it actually works. The UCS AT-AT set has Technic axles positioned so they physically can't be removed unless you use tools or destroy the entire build, and it's 100% intentional. Once you build this AT-AT, it's permanent. You can't take it apart to store it, you can't rebuild it into something else, you can't disassemble it at all. The AT-AT is one of many non-Technic sets that use Technic pieces, but designers know when certain things can't be done, so the fact that this happened anyway is genuinely upsetting. Shame on you, LEGO. If I had tomatoes on me right now, I'd be throwing them. Moving on to something more funny, let's talk about all of our arch enemies, stickers. They're the bane of our existence as LEGO builders, and some sets have a million of them. But the sticker situation in the NASA Space Shuttle Discovery set in particular is unbelievable. The set has 24 stickers that go on the inside of the ship. Now, that already sounds terrible, but it gets worse, because you have to put these things on the inside of curved pieces, which if you've never had to do, by the way, thank the LEGO gods, because it's rough. Don't worry though, it keeps getting worse, because 24 stickers on the inside of curved pieces wasn't enough. These stickers make up the entire interior of the shuttle. Every single one is this shiny silver color, so if you mess up even one of them just a little bit, the aesthetics of the inside of the ship will be completely thrown off. But I can't talk about stickers without talking about the Speed Champions theme. I just recently bought the set of Suki's S2K from Too Fast, Too Furious, because let's be honest, her car is sick. But this was my first time building a set from Speed Champions, and nothing could have prepared me for how many stickers I had to put on this car. The paint job is what makes this car so sick, but LEGO only made 2 printed pieces for it. The rest of them are all stickers, and just to prove it to you, I'm gonna count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. There are 24 stickers on this set. But anyways, this next piece of rage bait is so insane that it's almost hard to believe. LEGO said a while ago that they slowly but surely wanted to phase out paper instructions and only have them available online. I think I can speak for all of us when I say this would suck. But LEGO said they're worried about how much paper they're using for all these booklets, and I was on their side until I found out what they do for sets made for 4-year-olds. The instruction booklets for these sets have 1 step per page. That's right, just one step. If this isn't wasting paper, then I don't know what is. Come on, Lego, you can at least do 2 steps. But apparently, Lego thinks we're dumber than we are, because they tell us something extremely obvious in that Palpatine's shuttle set from before. This set was made for kids ages 8 to 12, and maybe I'm crazy here, but I don't think kids this old need Lego telling them to put their bricks on a table instead of, what is that, grass? A carpet? Whatever it is, a 12-year-old doesn't need Lego to tell them to put their bricks on a table. Like, let's be for real. Anyways, let's move on from that so I can show you a time when Lego was literally trolling in the typewriter instructions. According to people online who've built it, this set is by far one of the most difficult non-Technic sets to build. But the reason is because the functional parts of this set use Technic pieces to make it happen. So yeah, that's a thing. Obviously, this set is known for how functional it is, which means you have to build a lot of it using Technic pieces. So a lot of the steps in the instructions are sub-builds that make the set operate. When you build just one of these sub-builds, you end up with 9 of these things, which is annoying on its own. But just to rub it in, Lego shows them jumbled up in a pile instead of laid out next to each other. But remember, I said this happens when you build just one of these sub-builds, and there are 3 in total. So Lego shows you 9 Technic builds piled up 3 separate times. Maybe I'm going crazy for this one, but this just feels like rage bait at its finest. But if it didn't get you, this next one definitely will. The Minecraft Micro World Forest set has Herobrine lurking in the background of the first page in the instructions. If you don't know, Herobrine is a mythical Minecraft character that became a huge meme because he doesn't actually exist in the game. Mojang would even put removed Herobrine in patch notes as a joke, even though he was never real to begin with. So Lego put him in the official instructions just to troll everyone. But this next thing was a mistake and a letdown at the same time. The Creel house in the Stranger Things theme just came out this year, and it came with minifigures of the entire main cast of Season 5. Some of these minifigures look super sick, but others ended up like Jonathan. Now, I'm not hating on his design. Making that guy into a minifigure would be pretty difficult. What I'm hating on here is the fact that his arms have no printing on them. Oh, and the reason I'm mad about this, by the way, is because he has prints on his arms in the instructions. So there's a version of him out there with this cool arm printing to make his jacket look normal. But instead, Lego just used blank arms and didn't even fix the one in the instructions. JK Brickworks, and it's actually super similar to the snare drum I covered in my second fan creations video. It's basically a combination of real keyboard parts and Lego bricks. JK took the circuit board from an old keyboard he had laying around, put it inside a brick-built frame, and made the keycaps out of Lego. That way, the keyboard sounded and felt just like a regular mechanical keyboard, but still looked like Lego. In the video, he breaks down all the little details of how the keyboard came to life, like the little archway for the cable slot, and the other brick-built elements to divide the keys into different sections. I'd love to have this at my gaming setup, if I could type without looking at the letters. I guess I should work on that at some point. Up next is another insane Lego arm, but it's nothing like the prosthetic ones from the last video. This is a working bionic arm, made with the Mindstorms EV3 set, and I have to say, this thing is super impressive. People have made a ton of different builds with the Mindstorms theme, since the entire thing is based around robots, but this arm is the best one I've seen. Once you build it, all you do is slide it on your arm, and your fingers make your new Lego arm move. Now, honestly, I can't think of a whole lot you could actually do with this arm. It looks really sick, but I don't think it's strong enough to actually use for anything. But I can't say the same about this Lego drone. This was made by the Brick Experiment channel, so you already know it's gonna be a banger. And they absolutely did not disappoint. The motors, propellers, and frame are all made out of Lego, and the only non-Lego parts are the battery, radio receiver, and flight controller. So basically everything you need to make the drone actually fly. Like usual, the amount of coding and stuff I just don't understand was pretty prevalent in this invention. But the fact that something like this is even possible with Lego is pretty crazy. Unfortunately though, not every Lego invention is this successful. Sometimes the idea is there, but the actual execution ends up being way more difficult. Something like this happened with the Lego snowboard that Brick Science made a few years ago. Like I said, the idea was really good, but building something that can handle all the weight of a human being, be smooth enough on the bottom to glide on snow, and not break through any of it is pretty difficult. Surprisingly enough though, none of these things seem to be a problem. The only thing that was holding back the snowboard was the fact that if there wasn't a trail laid out for it, it would just stop dead in its tracks. Oh, and since there are no footholds, it's literally impossible to turn. So it wasn't wasn't the best invention in the world, but it wasn't bad either. The drink cooler he made, though, was the exact opposite. Let me show you how this thing works. Basically, he needed to make a water pump out of bricks and motors that would pump water onto a spinning soda can in the container he built for it. I know I'm jumping ahead here, but just stay with me. The pump would be connected to a plastic bin filled with ice water. That way, the drink would get super cold super fast. The container he made for the drink was also made really well, which was imperative for this invention. He built a spot at the bottom to hide the water tray and the pump, then made a mechanism that spins the can so the drink gets cooled evenly. Before the cooling, it was at 76 degrees, and after just 1 minute in the cooler, it was like it just came out of the fridge. This is definitely one of the most useful inventions I've seen with Lego, but sometimes it's the unuseful ones that are the most fun. We all know what dominoes are, right? You set them up, tip one over, then watch the rest of them fall. Well, JK Brickworks completely defeated the purpose of dominoes with this infinite domino ring. I mean, the entire point of dominoes is that they fall and you have to set them up again. But with this machine, they quite literally just fall and pick themselves back up forever. After setting up the initial frame, JK put a domino on top and this triangle-shaped Technic piece on the bottom. This piece was very loose, so that way it could be flung up to put the domino back in place once everything was up and running. And it did just that. Once the invention was done, it literally could have been turned into a 10-hour YouTube video like the ones Mr. Beast used to make. But if there's one invention in this video that I just have to show you, it's this Lego exoskeleton. First of all, the video for this thing feels like one of those videos a villain makes before their big invention turns them evil. The quality, how old it is, I feel like it really does give off that vibe. But all that means is that the invention itself is absolutely insane. Professor Bricks was able to make an exoskeleton for his upper body that was connected to a little robot. And of course, it was all made using Lego. When he moved his right arm, the robot moved with it. And when he moved his left arm, the robot moved again. Not only that, but it also had working joints. The elbows and wrists bent, and the arms could even be turned to the side too. Something I haven't covered yet though are dangerous inventions. I definitely had a few in the last video, so let me show you one in this video too. This is a Lego lawnmower made by the Brick Wall on YouTube. I've shown a Lego lawnmower in a different video, but that was just for show. This one actually cuts the grass. The thing is though, the only reason it's able to is because the brick wall attached razor blades to the end of the propellers. This is unbelievably dangerous, especially if they aren't attached very well. So don't even think about trying this at home. Because of these blades, it was able to mow grass pretty well. First, he tested out one blade just to see if it would work, which it did. Then he tested out both blades, which also worked. But the big test was up next. The brick wall dropped the mower straight into the deep end and tried to have it mow the lawn just like any other mower. And even though it was super slow, it did actually work. I don't think anyone would ever use this over a regular lawnmower. But hey, this one's made with Lego, so let's just appreciate how sick that is. Wait, I just realized something. Remember before when I said that the bionic arm was the coolest thing I've seen built with the stuff from the Mindstorms theme? Well, I lied, because the #1 spot just got taken by this Lego Spaceflight arcade game. I've seen a few Lego arcade games in my day. Lego themselves even released a Pac-Man set not too long ago, but none of them are quite like this one. This invention was not only made with 100% Lego, but it actually works. Like, you can play the game. The way it works is you move this spaceship from left to right and try your best to keep it on the track. If you can't, you lose. But how is this even possible with Lego? Well, it's all because of the Mindstorms theme. With the intelligent brick from EV3, the builder was able to code a color sensor and attach it to the bottom of the spaceship. So that way, it would know if it was on the right color or not. I haven't even covered the fact that all of the controls for this game are with Lego. But honestly, the fact that the game actually works is way cooler than that. Let's keep the robot train going with this Lego robot that brushes your teeth for you. This one was made by Dental Digest on YouTube, and according to the guy who used it, it actually worked a lot better than he thought it would. But honestly, there's no way I'd ever use this thing. It's not for the reason you think though. Somehow, the 1,300 pieces that are used to build it cost over $2,000. This is an absolutely insane amount of money, especially for a toothbrushing robot. But let's see if it's even worth it.
This thing's amazing!
The whole thing is powered by an EV3 motor, and is actually very gentle when it brushes.
It's actually surprisingly gentle.
It goes in this weird up and down circular motion, almost like an oval. The one thing I don't get though is how you're supposed to brush your molars. Like, am I just supposed to stick the toothbrush back there and let it do its thing? I can't lie, there's no way I'm doing that. I think I'll just stick to doing it myself. If there's one invention I'd use in a heartbeat though, it's this Lego Iron Man missile launcher made by Brick Science. And the best part is it's nowhere near as expensive as this robot. Basically, all of the work is done by a little spring in the back of the chamber. And once you hook it up to a mechanism in your hand and release it, it'll start flying. The thing is though, the whole point of it is that it's on your arm. So if you don't have an arm piece custom made to fit to your arm, you either gotta get to work or completely forget about it, because this part is essential. The whole thing took Brick Science about 10 hours to make, which is definitely nothing to scoff at, but it was all worth it in the end, because look at how fast this missile shoots out. This is like Nerf gun level quality, and it's not even remotely made by them, which is pretty cool. Not every invention has to be some weird weapon, toy, or remote control vehicle though. Sometimes they can just be funny. In 2018, some random kid uploaded a video of a Lego cuckoo clock to his channel. It's his only video, and it's literally just a 30-second clip of the clock cuckooing. There's absolutely nothing telling us how it works at all, but honestly, I just think that adds to the joke. I know it's been a while since he posted it, but go show this kid some love on his video. Maybe he'll want to do an update video if he gets enough views. Anyways, the next invention has to do with food. I don't know why, but some people love mixing food into their Lego inventions, like Astonishing Studios' custom Pizza Hut, KFC, and Taco Bell build. This thing was meant to dispense real food, so obviously that had to be provided. But the amount of insane details in this thing is genuinely crazy, so I'll try my best to show them off without taking forever. First off, all the food in this build costs a different price, which can all be seen on the little screen up front. The minimum price is €2, and if you try to put anything less than that in the coin slot, it rejects it and spits it back out at you. Once you put in that minimum price though, whatever food you choose will move on a conveyor belt and be dropped into a little pull-out bin, almost like a vending machine. There's also a spot for change on the bottom left, and since this thing can literally read coins, it can definitely give you change if you give too much money. The last thing I want to tell you about this build though is the 2 combination safe. The way you unlock it is by spinning the 4-color knob counterclockwise until you hit red, then spin it clockwise until you hit blue. Then the safe opens. This part of the build is super clever, and honestly, I didn't even know something like this was possible using just Lego pieces. You know what? This just made me want to show you a Lego safe. So let me show you this blue and white one made by Edificator Lego on YouTube. This one is a pretty good size. Like, it can hold a watch super easily. But of course, since this is a safe, it's impossible to open without a key. And yes, the key is made entirely out of Lego. All you have to do is put it in the slot, and the safe opens. But this key looks really weird. So how does it actually unlock the safe? Well, it's way simpler than you might think. All it does is lift 5 axle pieces out of place, which lets you slide them over and open the door. See? Easy peasy. Another invention that's super simple like this, once it's made at least, is this Lego dog feeder. The clip for it is literally 8 seconds. The dog walks up, uses their paw to press the button, and voila, dinner is served. In theory, this is the most simple invention ever, but since it uses an intelligent brick from EV3, we know there was a lot of coding involved. However, there's one main problem with an invention like this if you don't code it correctly. Dogs love to eat, like they literally can't stop themselves. So if this intelligent brick doesn't have set times that it's allowed to dispense food, the dog could just get as much food as it wants, which would definitely not be good. I hope for this little guy's sake that that's not what happened with their feeder. Anyways, switching gears, the last invention I want to show you is this Braille printer that actually went super viral when it was made back in 2014. Back then, a standard Braille printer cost around $2,000, but with the intelligent brick from EV3, some Lego pieces, and a few things from Home Depot, this 13-year-old was able to make one for right around $350. All you had to do was pick a letter on the intelligent brick, and it would immediately start printing it out in Braille. The invention was not only covered by other YouTubers, but PBS NewsHour even did a segment on it back in 2014. Seeing as how Lego is trying their best to branch out into the world of Braille, this is something they should definitely come back to. This one is hidden so well that I could only find one real picture of it online. What you're looking at are the innards of the Millennium Falcon cockpit, but these pieces here look almost too perfect to be an accident. This is without a doubt a reference to none other than Lando Calrissian. You can find this Easter egg in the Ultimate Collector's Series Millennium Falcon to be exact, and considering Lando's history with the ship, it only makes sense to bake him into the build. This one is extremely hard to spot though, so let me show you one that's just as purposeful, but a whole lot easier to see. Not too long ago, LEGO added a brand new sub-theme to LEGO Star Wars called the Starship Collection, and the whole point of it was to make a smaller version of super famous LEGO Star Wars ships strictly for decoration. One of these ships is the Executor Super Star Destroyer, which if you know anything about Star Wars, you know that this is one of the biggest ships in the entire universe. Since this version is part of the Starship Collection sub-theme though, it was scaled down to size. If you paid attention during the intro, you would have noticed that the brick-built version of Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker were just made with studs. And you can actually find something really similar in this set. It has to be taken apart to see it, but these studs aren't here for no reason. They actually represent the super famous bounty hunter scene from The Empire Strikes Back. You know, the one where Vader specifically tells Boba Fett, no disintegrations.
No disintegrations.
This is one of the easiest and most fun ways to slip an Easter egg into a LEGO set. But let me show you that Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker one that I keep talking about. It's in this mini version of the Death Star 2 set, and even though it would fit perfectly into the Starship Collection, it actually isn't a part of it. It was technically made to celebrate May 4th in 2023, but who cares about that? Where are Vader and Luke? Well, if you open the panel 2 from the left of the super laser, that's where you can find these 4 studs. They're here to represent when they fought in the Emperor's throne room.
I will not fight you, Father.
And considering how much happened in there, I'd say this is a worthy cameo. But not every cameo in LEGO Star Wars has to be this discreet. Sometimes all you have to do is check the back of the set. This exact scenario played out in the Trash Compactor diorama set. This one pays homage to the scene where Han, Luke, Leia, and Chewie were almost crushed to death in a trash compactor on the Death Star. And the only reason they survived was because R2-D2 and C-3PO disabled it. These two droids are clearly the heroes of this scene. So when you flip the set around and see them on the back, you realize that everything is exactly where it should be. R2 is there messing with the controls, and 3PO is right there next to him, doing everything he can, even if that was just grieving the gang's deaths.
Listen to them. They're dying, R2. It's all my fault.
These two droids can be recognized just about anywhere you put them. So would you believe me if I told you they've been in not 1, but 2 LEGO Indiana Jones sets? We all know that the creator of Star Wars, George Lucas, also made the Indiana Jones movies. But how in the world could LEGO designers slip these two into 2 sets from a completely different movie? Well, Indiana Jones is known for stealing artifacts from very old places. And a lot of times there are hieroglyphs on the walls, just to show how old these places really are. Now, if you look at this picture of the Indiana Jones and the Lost Tomb set from 2008, you can very clearly see R2 and 3PO on the tile piece at the top of the set. Once you know it's there, it's literally impossible to miss. But the crossover doesn't end here. In the Raiders of the Lost Ark, you can find R2 and 3PO as hieroglyphs in the actual movie. Now, fast forward 42 years to when the Escape from the Lost Tomb set dropped, and you can find these guys in basically the exact same place in the LEGO set. Just like the last one, once you know it's there, it's impossible to miss. Okay, I've been talking a lot about cameos, so why don't we switch gears so I can show you some Easter eggs that are functional parts of a set. The first one is a super famous one in the R2-D2 set from 2021. Remember the scene in Return of the Jedi when Luke was about to walk into the Sarlacc pit, but then he used the diving board to fly into the air and R2 launched his lightsaber to him? Well, LEGO certainly remembers it, because look what they added to this set. Luke's lightsaber is literally sitting right there. R2 carrying his lightsaber was a huge part of this plan, so it only makes sense that LEGO included it in the set, just like Lando with the Millennium Falcon. Who's another famous droid LEGO could do something like this with? Well, the answer is BB-8. LEGO released a set for this little guy back in 2017. But unlike R2, he doesn't really have some special scene where he has to hide something. So what could LEGO do for him? Well, a cool little trick he did was use a lighter to give a thumbs up. I mean, he did it so much, it was basically his catchphrase. So what choice did LEGO have other than to include that same lighter in the set? This lighter was literally a part of BB-8, so I don't think people would have been too happy if LEGO left it out, like what happened with the headless AT-ST set. I don't think they want anything like that happening ever again. Anyways, the next small detail actually isn't really that small, and it isn't really in a LEGO set. In fact, the item is only sold by itself, and it's a reference to one of the longest running jokes in Star Wars. When we first meet Luke on Tatooine, he sits down and has some blue milk with his aunt and uncle. Don't ask me why. I have no idea why they chose the color blue. This joke kept going for years, and still does to this day. But what made it even better was when they had Luke drink green milk in The Last Jedi. Not only is it a funny reference to the scene from A New Hope, but it also represents the change in his lightsaber color, from blue to green. But why am I telling you all this? Is it because there's a secret blue milk carton in every set with a Luke minifigure? Or is there some blue milk spilled on the floor in the back of the Landspeeder set? Nope. Not at all. LEGO actually gave away a blue milk Luke Skywalker minifigure to people who bought the deluxe version of LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. And to this day, I'm still beating myself up for not buying it. But yeah, if you've seen this minifigure around, now you know why it exists. You can find the answer to a bunch of tiny little secrets like this if you know where to look. But the best thing you can do is know about a language called Aurebesh. It's the main language spoken in the Star Wars universe, and just like most languages, they have their own alphabet too. I'm sure you already know where I'm going with this, but there are a million Easter eggs you can find in LEGO Star Wars sets just by knowing this language even exists. I'll only show you a few, because neither of us want to be here for 5 hours. But the first one is in the Ultimate Collector Series Cantina set. You can find this sticker on a tile piece inside the bar, and clearly this is not the English language. When translated to Aurebesh, it reads wanted. But why are R2 and 3PO on a wanted poster in the cantina? Well, considering how they left Mos Eisley, you know, with the Empire chasing after them, they probably got put on a wanted list after they escaped. Another set with some Aurebeshian secrets is the Ewok Village set, one of which is actually extremely dark. But if you know anything about Ewoks, you know that they're not as cute and innocent as they look. I'll start with the tame one though. This word with a heart around it translates to Leia, and it's assumed that Han did this at one point or another. So he won't say it, but he'll carve it. Okay, tough guy.
I love you.
I know.
Now, the piece that's next to this one is where the dark stuff comes in. I'm just gonna come right out and say it. Ewoks not only kill stormtroopers, but they also eat them. That's why they have a million Imperial helmets lying around, and that's why they use them as drums. Now, looking at this piece, notice how there are a bunch of tally marks around the Scout Trooper helmet? Well, in case you haven't put it together, whoever lives in this tree is saying that they've killed however many Scout Troopers are tallied here. And that means that they probably ate them too. So unfortunately, these little guys are a lot more evil than they look. And even LEGO knows it. Not a lot of people know deep-cut facts like this, but want to know what they do know? The opening scene to A New Hope. You know, the one where it goes... Yeah, that one. Well, the designers of the Star Wars logo set knew they couldn't leave it without any Easter eggs. So if you remove the top panel of the S and T, you can find a micro version of the Tantive ship and the Star Destroyer that was chasing after it. We know from the movies that the Star Destroyer caught up to the Tantive and trapped it in some weird docking area under the ship. And this is the part where I give LEGO designers all the props in the world. Because in the Imperial Star Destroyer set from 2019, not only is this dock part of the build, but there's even a mini Tantive included in the set that can be attached to it. This is one of the best examples of an Easter egg being brought full circle. Besides my goat Jedi Bob, of course. I mean, it easily deserves to be in the LEGO Hall of Fame. As for the rest of the references and small details in this video, I'm going to be showing you some stuff you'd only know is there if you built the set yourself. Starting with this sticker of the shield generators on Hoth in the AT-AT set. The first time we saw an AT-AT was on Hoth in The Empire Strikes Back, and their main target on that planet were the shield generators, so they could completely annihilate the Rebels' base. So this sticker is actually a really nice touch. That isn't even the best part about this set though. It may not be a Star Wars reference, but it's still sick nonetheless. If you take off some panels on the back of the AT-AT, you'll find octane barrels just sitting there. This crossover is even more surprising than seeing R2 and 3PO in those Indiana Jones sets, but doesn't that just make it better? I know what you want to see though. You want to see more deep cuts like the Stormtrooper kill count before the video ends. I got you. Let me show you a few. In the Darth Vader's castle set, there's a very important piece of Sith technology stored at the bottom. It's sitting on top of a podium, like something Indy would steal. But he should know better than to touch this, because this is a Sith holocron. A holocron is basically an artifact that stores a bunch of information. So the only reason this one in particular is dangerous is because it's Darth Vader's. That's not all for this set though. In a different part of it, you can pull a hidden compartment out of the ground and find a red kyber crystal. They didn't even mention these things in the movies, so if you recognize the name, then you probably already know all about them. These last few references are going to be all about Mando. Remember how Grogu literally could not keep his hands off of the silver shift knob in the Razor Crest? He literally had it in his hands or in his sight at all times, and since it's part of the ship, you can find it clear as day in the cockpit. Unfortunately, LEGO didn't unretire their chrome paint for this piece, which would have been awesome, but that's without a doubt the same silver shift knob. Another obsession Grogu has are eggs. For some reason, he loves eating them, no matter who they belong to. He ate the ones in the Ice Spider's nest, and he also ate the ones that belonged to the Frog Lady. We know for sure that he wasn't supposed to touch the Frog Lady's eggs, since Mando scolded him right after he ate one.
No. That is not food.
But guess what you can find right next to Grogu's carrier in the Razor Crest set? Yup, those are without a doubt the Frog Lady's eggs. Have you ever been at the beach and seen a random Lego piece washed up on shore? Well, as random as it may seem, you're actually not alone. Back in 1997, a cargo ship called the Tokyo Express was hit by a massive wave around England, and a few shipping containers fell off of it. Well, one of these containers actually had 5 million Lego pieces inside of it, and funnily enough, they were all made for underwater themes, like Aqua Raiders and Pirates. It's extremely common to find Lego pieces on the beach of the UK, so if you've ever been there and found one, now you know why. The next mystery, though, actually ties into this huge spill. Out of the 5 million pieces that were lost at sea, less than 10% have been found by humans. The thing is, though, there's one type of piece that was in the container that no one's been able to find, until now. The piece I'm talking about is a Lego shark, and out of the 5 million, 51,800 of them were shark pieces. Just last year, a fisherman named Richard West found one in his fishing net, officially making him the first person to find a shark piece from the 1997 spill. Why did it take almost 30 years for someone to find a shark though? Wouldn't they have just washed up like every other piece? Well, not exactly. Because of the size and shape, the shark pieces sink underwater. So the only reason West was even able to find one was because he's a fisherman. Pretty crazy. The biggest mystery of all, though, is why you haven't subscribed to my channel yet. I upload Lego videos just like this one every week, so go subscribe to my channel. Anyways, the next mystery I want to tell you about has to do with minifigures. If you've seen a minifigure with a random person's name on it, you might have been a little confused, which makes a lot of sense. I mean, why would a real minifigure from Lego have something like this? Well, these are actually business cards for Lego employees. I know it sounds crazy, but it's actually true. Instead of the traditional business cards that everyone else has, certain Lego employees have a minifigure with their name on the front and contact information on the back. At least, they used to. As of late last year, LEGO is officially reserving them for the family. In other words, if your last name isn't Christensen, then you won't be getting a minifigure business card ever. I'm not entirely sure why LEGO decided to do this, but maybe it has something to do with how much they sell for on eBay. Yeesh. Unfortunately for LEGO, they can't control everything about minifigures, especially the giant ones that have been washing up on beaches since 2007. After all these years, only 6 of them have popped up, but they were quite literally all over the world. The first one was in Zandvoort, Netherlands in 2007. The second one was in 2008 at Brighton, UK. The third one was in 2011 at Siesta Key Beach in Florida. The fourth one was in 2012, and it was actually the second one to wash up in Brighton. The fifth one was in 2014 at Uegahama Beach in Japan, and the most recent one was in 2015 at Topanga Beach in California. Now, considering these minifigs are 8 feet tall and completely made of fiberglass, it's no wonder why there aren't too many of them. So what's the mystery here? Well, isn't it obvious? Who in the world is making these minifigures, and how are they making them wash up on beaches all over the world? Well, after all these years, we finally have an answer. The only hint we had was that the words Ego Leonard were printed somewhere on every single one. They also have weird messages on the front of them, but Ego Leonard are the only words that are on all of them. After all this time, we finally know that Ego Leonard was a guerrilla art project by Leon Kier, a Dutch artist known for his street art and optical illusions. But not every LEGO mystery is so innocent. For this one, I'm gonna have to take you to LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. But be warned, this mystery is pretty disturbing. In Mos Espa, you can find a silver protocol droid carrying a kyber brick into a house. Once you follow the droid inside, you get this super weird cutscene where he just stares at you with creepy music playing in the background. Then he runs into a room and vanishes. This is for sure a little weird, but this is where the creepy stuff comes in. This protocol droid's name is actually Nobot, and he has a seriously dark backstory. Apparently, he's been wandering around Mos Espa for decades, but no one actually knows why he's there. He even ventures off into the heart of the desert, but no matter what, he always ends up back in Mos Espa. According to Jira, one of the vendors we saw in The Phantom Menace, decades ago, Nobot was the only surviving witness to the murder of a pregnant woman, and he was covered in blaster fire and blood. Even worse than this was the fact that his communications module was known to play back the recording of this woman dying. Allegedly. There's no proof of it, but people are pretty convinced this droid committed the murder, and since he was left without a purpose, he just wanders around Mos Espa, aimlessly. Like I said, this mystery is anything but peachy, but to bring it all together, LEGO named the side mission where you find him Ghost Protocol. This is by far the creepiest mystery I found for this video, but there's something about creepy LEGO mysteries that's just so interesting. So let me tell you about one more. This one is about the legend of the Whispering Brick, and while it definitely isn't well known, if you look hard enough, you can find people talking about it. It's basically an urban legend in LEGO, but the story is that sometimes builders are able to hear a faint whisper coming from one of their bricks. It never says any definitive words, kind of like when Harry was hearing whispers in Harry Potter, but according to a few people, it was 100% coming from the direction their bricks were in. Now, if I'm being honest, there's no way this is real. I mean, it just seems like a creepypasta that trolls tried to get other people to believe. But regardless, it's still a weird mystery in LEGO, if you want to call it that. Moving on from the creepy stuff, there's actually a big mystery surrounding one of the most famous minifigures of all time, Mr. Gold. We all know who Mr. Gold is, but if you thought the mystery had to do with why LEGO decided to make him, or where they got all the gold from, you're completely wrong. It's actually that most of them are missing. LEGO made 5,000 of them in total, but with how many fake ones there are on the market, there was no way for anybody to keep track of where the real ones ended up. With a number as low as 5,000, and the fact that you could only get him in a minifigure Series 10 bag at random, you'd think that everyone that got one would post about it online, but that's not the case at all. Like I said before, because of how many fakes there are, it's impossible to know who actually has a real one. But to make it even more difficult, this minifigure came out all the way back in 2013. So tracking down all of those original posts would be insanely difficult. Obviously, this mystery is 100% unsolved, but it's actually a perfect segue into the next one, because it has to do with lost media. If you've never heard this term before, it's basically just something digital that no one is able to find. Knowing that, your next question might be, well, minifigured, LEGO makes toys, so how would they have any sort of lost media? And to that, I would say that you'd be right, if it wasn't for the fact that LEGO's made a ton of TV shows over the years. Obviously, we have shows like Bionicle and Shima, but one that's been lost for a super long time is the LEGO Adventurers show from 1998. It aired on Cartoon Network on March 23rd, 1998, but it was only shown in Europe. On top of this, according to someone on Reddit who actually watched the show, each episode was only about 1 minute long, and they were shown in between other shows, so it wasn't really a full-blown cartoon. The only evidence we have that it even exists is a small advertisement on a page from the LEGO Club magazine for March and April of 1998, and a super low-quality 30-second commercial advertising the show. So there's no evidence of the actual show, just ads for it. TV shows aren't the only thing that's been lost over the years, though. There's also tons of mobile games that have been completely wiped from the App Store. About a year ago, someone on TikTok uploaded a few videos of them recording their old phone, and they had a ton of these extinct apps. I guess they just never updated their phone, because that's literally the only way they could still have these apps on there. Now, technically speaking, none of them are actually lost media, but it's still really cool to see LEGO games that aren't available anymore, just sitting on someone's phone. Let's move on from lost media though, so I can tell you about the time that LEGO helped solve a mystery in real life. life. I have to give another warning here though. This one is much darker than the Nobot mystery. Back in 1991, Lucille Johnson was found murdered in her house in Salt Lake City, Utah. I'm not exactly sure why, but the police back then were never able to find out who killed her, so her case went cold for years and was eventually closed. One of the only details I'm comfortable saying is that Lego pieces were found at the door to the house, the living room, and in the driveway, and it would turn out that these pieces are what allowed the police to find the person responsible years later. In 2013, they finally had the technology they needed to inspect the pieces properly, and this is how they cracked the case wide open. The police tested some DNA from the crime scene, and it matched to a man named John Sansing, who was actually already in prison for murder in Arizona. Further analysis revealed that the fingerprints on the Lego bricks matched his son, who was 5 years old at the time. With this, the police were easily able to link Sansing to the murder, and they were pretty sure he used his son to get inside the house in the first place. Like I said, this story is very dark, but isn't it crazy that the only reason it got solved was because of fingerprints on a Lego brick? This is by far the craziest story I found for this video. But let's get back to mysteries that stay within Lego. The next one I want to talk about is the mystery of the lighthouse rowboat, and it may not seem like much, but this one has been stumping fans for ages. Back in 2022, Lego released this motorized lighthouse set, and it's actually a really sick set, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. What I and everyone else are wondering is why the back of the rowboat has the word Lita on it. It has absolutely no significance in the set, and the weird part is that this set is in Lego Ideas, but the designer never gave any information on the name. In fact, the only significance it has is in Greek mythology. Lita was an Aetolian princess who later became a Spartan queen, but this is a lighthouse set, so there are no demigods or any other mythological creatures to be found. If there's one thing about Lego fans, it's that they love to know every little detail, but unfortunately, this is one they're just gonna have to forget about. Moving on from that though, the last mystery I want to tell you about honestly shouldn't even be considered a mystery anymore. The Lego Vault. A long time ago, there were rumors floating around that Lego had a secret vault where they have one of every Lego product ever made stored inside, released and unreleased. Fast forward years later, and there are tons of videos on YouTube of people literally showing the inside of the vault. It used to be in a different spot, but now it's part of the Lego Inside Tour. Someone on Reddit showed what the inside of the new one looked like, noting how it's not in a bunker anymore. But if this isn't enough to convince you that the vault is real, then this next thing definitely will be. For 2024's Inside Tour, the set Lego gave to attendees was a set of the vault itself, called Memory Lane. I mean, come on. At this point, there's literally no arguing it. The Lego Vault mystery has officially been solved, and honestly, it has been for a super long time. The first one is in the police car set from 1973. The siren on top was placed there by shoving it in between two studs, which is highly illegal. What makes certain building techniques illegal, you ask? Well, if the technique causes damage to pieces over time, then it's considered illegal. And putting a plate in between two studs like this is one of the easiest ways to ruin a plate piece. So yeah, it's illegal. But Lego didn't realize this for a long time. Illegal building techniques only made a name for themselves sometime in the last 20 years. So sometimes sets from before then use illegal techniques, like this police car. It was pretty common to find this exact technique in sets from the 70s. Like another set that has it is the Photo Safari set from 1977. This set is another vehicle, and just like the siren on the police car, there's a plate stuck right in between two studs. Since Lego didn't know this was illegal yet, we kind of have to give them a pass. I mean, the set is literally almost 50 years old, so we can't be too mad. But remember before how I said Lego breaks these rules a lot? Well, the illegal techniques aren't just in sets from the 70s. You can also find them in modern sets too, like the Lego Star Wars Mini AT-AT set from 2003. This illegal technique is a little different. Instead of shoving a plate piece in between two studs, this one is made with a stud piece and a round plate. All it is putting the stud in the middle of the four studs on the round plate. That's it. I can't lie, I definitely did this technique a lot when I was a kid. So my stud pieces are probably all cooked by now. But you can find this exact technique on page 20 of the instructions for the Mini AT-AT. The technique was used to make a mini Y-wing bomber to go along with the AT-AT. And this must have been done right before illegal building techniques started gaining traction, because there's no way Lego would do something like this more recently. Or would they? Well, in the Winter Village post office set from 2011, you can find a third illegal building technique being used to make the roof for one of the buildings. It starts on page 64, where LEGO has you putting the second story on the left side of the post office. Next, on page 65, you make the festive roof that's supposed to go on the side of the second floor. But wait a minute, that part only has a spot for a Technic pin on the side, and there's no such pin in the build for the roof. Well, this is where our illegal technique comes in. If you look closely at the roof build, you'll see that LEGO had you make it with a modified 1x1 with studs on 4 sides. And when you look back at the instructions, you'll see that the roof was only made using 3 of these studs. If you haven't put it together yet, that 4th unused stud is supposed to go in the Technic hole, which is highly illegal. This set was made in 2011 though, so maybe you're thinking that these illegal building techniques still weren't that known yet. Well, allow me to burst your bubble. Because in the Voltron set from 2018, the literal first step in the instructions has you putting a stud into a Technic hole, just like how you were supposed to do in the post office set. Like I said, this technique is highly illegal, and considering this set came out in 2018, there's no denying it. The designers knew exactly what they were doing with this one. Something you might not have known though is that the subscribe button actually changes colors when you click it. I swear, go try it out and let me know if it works for you. Anyways, the next broken rule I want to show you has to do with instructions. Obviously, we need instructions to build most LEGO sets, so it's only natural to think that there's never any mistakes in them, right? Well, not exactly. Instructions have mistakes in them all the time, but some of them are way worse than others, like this one in the LEGO Star Wars Battle of Endor set from 2009. This is very obviously a plate piece with 3 studs, but because of where the arrows are pointing, it looks like they're telling you to connect it to 4 studs instead. This is one of the most famous LEGO errors ever, so odds are you've seen it before. Another one that's pretty popular is the floating sticker in the Spider-Jet vs. Venom mech set. On page 42, you're supposed to add a sticker to the front of the cockpit window, as you can see here. But if you look at the front of the ship, it seems like the designer forgot to delete the sticker before they published the page. This is where the sticker ends up once you attach the window piece to the set, as you can see on page 45. But it definitely wasn't supposed to be there before that. Stuff like this isn't so common in LEGO, but there's one type of error in particular that people find all the time, and it's kind of similar to the floating sticker. Sometimes when you're building a set, a piece will be on your build that LEGO hasn't told you to put there yet. I just bought the one-piece Windmill Village hut set, peak fiction by the way, and I love it, but pages 62 to 68 were a little confusing. On page 62, you're supposed to build this beam type thing and then just put it on the front of the set, but look at this spot right here. On the next page, you're supposed to put a sticker on this tile and then put it on front, but then this thing is just here. Like, what? I flipped back and forth like 3 times trying to figure out what was going on before I just skipped ahead and realized they put that top part there early. It's a super small mistake, but when you're building the set, something like this can be really confusing. Not gonna lie though, this is nothing compared to what happened with the instructions for the LEGO Harry Potter Dobby's release set. That one was just too funny. I say that because it's not like what happened with the One Piece set. Instead, LEGO just completely used the wrong hairpiece for the only minifigure in the set. This one came out back in 2002, so the instructions online got fixed, except for the fact that they didn't. Now, Lucius has the right hairpiece, but he doesn't have a cape. I mean, the hairpiece mistake is one thing, but he literally had a cape in the first version. So how did it end up deleted in the second one? This one is super funny, and I know we're all in a good mood right now, but unfortunately, I'm gonna have to ruin it, because it's time to talk about stickers. Yeah, I know, none of us like them, I get it, but there's a broken rule here, just like with everything else, so just hear me out. I'm not sure exactly when LEGO made this decision, but somewhere along the road, they decided that stickers shouldn't ever go across more than 1 brick. I can kind of understand it, I guess, but they still did it in the airport set from the town theme. The set only comes with like 5 stickers, but see this one with the arrows on it? Well, this is where it goes in the set, and clearly it's going across 3 different bricks, so that rule definitely got broken. The funny thing about this rule though is that it can actually make some stickers look really ugly depending on what they are. Most of them are in the clear, but when it comes to the Gringotts Bank set from Harry Potter, there's a big problem front and center. Literally. Because of the 1 sticker per brick rule, the sticker for Gringotts was separated into 2. And I mean, just look at it when it's on the set. I know I've talked about it in a different video, but this is downright ugly. I guess it just goes to show how hard LEGO tries not to break certain rules. Like, they really don't want to break this sticker one. And as much as I want to believe that LEGO refuses to make anything related to weapons, military, or 18+ stuff in general, it just isn't true. And there's lots of evidence to prove it. Exhibit A, LEGO Star Wars. Now, I know this one is kind of a cop-out. None of the weapons or ships in this theme exist in real life, so it's not like LEGO's making actual weapons, but I still need to touch on it. LEGO openly made blasters that kill people on impact, swords made of light that can cut people in half, and space stations capable of blowing up entire planets. This doesn't look too good on paper. I hear your point though. None of this is avoidable if you're gonna make anything from LEGO Star Wars. You're right, but clearly LEGO gets to pick and choose what they want to make for this theme. So answer me this. If they can make anything from Star Wars into LEGO, why did they make a minifigure of Anakin right after he was burned alive on Mustafar? Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. I love LEGO Star Wars just as much as the next guy, but this minifigure clearly breaks the 18+ rule. Now that that's out of the way, it's time for Exhibit B. LEGO Indiana Jones. Unlike Star Wars, there's no argument for this one. Indiana Jones was based on real life, on Earth, with human beings, and LEGO broke the no weapons or military stuff rule all the time with this theme. First of all, literally everyone has guns, so there goes the weapons rule. Second of all, LEGO made a bunch of different military vehicles, most of them being fighter planes. The first ones they made were in this set from 2009, but if you think they wouldn't do this nowadays, guess again, because here's another fighter plane in a set from 2023. And look, the words fighter plane are literally in the name of the set. But third of all, they knew exactly what they were doing. Check out this box for set 7682. One of the guys is literally shooting their gun, and this is on the box. Like I said, they knew exactly what they were doing. But if this isn't enough evidence for you, allow me to present Exhibit C, the LEGO Osprey V22. We all know the story with this one. LEGO made it a few years ago and was gonna release it, but then decided not to. But do you know why? Because it would have broken the military vehicle rule. And sure, you can say this technically didn't break the rule because they never released it, but this set was release ready, to the point where people were able to get them in hand and sell them with the box, instructions, and everything else. So in my opinion, this definitely breaks the military rule. But let me know what you think in the comments. Alright, this next rule is actually a little different than the ones I've been talking about. This one isn't unwritten at all, and is actually very illegal to break. Safety. When you make and sell toys, you need to make sure that they're safe for the target audience. And in LEGO's case, that means they have to be safe for kids, which is a lot easier said than done. When something they make ends up not being safe, they have to do something that you've heard a bunch of different companies do: recall it. Luckily for LEGO, they've only ever had 3 recalls, but they were all pretty dangerous. First, there was a rattle that parents reported became a vacuum and choked their kids. Second is the Explorer Super Truck, which had really pointy axles. These axles could be detached pretty easily, so combine that with the pointiness, and it's a really bad recipe. The third and final recall is the Power Functions remote controller. Apparently, LEGO didn't do too well with cooling, because when you put batteries in this thing, it got hot. I'm not sure just how hot, but it was hot enough that they had to recall it. So I guess it was pretty high up there. Moving on from that though, I want to leave these next few items up to you. I can't tell if they really break any rules, so I want to know if you think they do. And if they do, what rule do they break? The first one is this hack with a LEGO tire. Apparently, if you take this big tire and flip it inside out, you can use it as a cauldron. I don't know if this would fall under illegal building techniques or what, but this feels like it has to be breaking some sort of rule. The second one is in the gas balloon village attack set, and if you look at the gas, you can see that it's being held up with tensegrity. Now, this is a perfectly legal building technique, so it's definitely not that. But I can't think of a single official LEGO set that uses this technique besides this one. So let me know, is this breaking a rule, or is it just sick? The last one is in the Disney Castle set, and apparently there's a part of this set that uses a highly illegal building technique. On page 115, you can see some 1x2 bricks with half-size Technic pins in them being placed. And if we go to the next page, we can see LEGO telling you to attach tiles to those half-size Technic pins. This isn't the alleged illegal part though. That comes on page 117. LEGO has you make these little structures on top of the castle and attach them to the pins. And apparently, this is the illegal technique. According to Oscar Cedarwall on the Brick Nerd website, attaching these structures on top of the plates puts a lot of stress on them, and will slowly but surely break them over time. I'm not sure I'm buying it though. Now, when it comes to rare LEGO sets, very few are as elusive as the LEGO molding machines. This isn't just any set you could casually find on the shelves of your local store. Oh no. This is a LEGO collector's holy grail, and for good reason. Released in 2011, this beauty was exclusively given to attendees of the LEGO Inside Tour, which, if you didn't know, is a 3-day LEGO fan experience that's only held in Denmark. But what exactly is the set? Well, it's a detailed detailed model of the molding machines used by LEGO to create their iconic bricks. Essentially, it was made to represent LEGO's shift from making wooden products to plastic products, which today are known as LEGO bricks. But here's the real kicker for this set though. Since it was only given to Inside Tour attendees, only 68 copies of the set have ever been made. That makes it a true collector's item, with LEGO fans willing to shell out upwards of $7,000 for it. But if you think that's rare, you won't believe how crazy this next set is. Back in 2013, a user named LEGO Historian published a lengthy discussion post on Eurobrick, a website for everything LEGO. They talk about what they believe to have been a lost LEGO set number 800. They first came across the set in a French LEGO catalog from 1966, but it wasn't even the main subject in the catalog. As you can see, the box for set 800 is covered by set 810, and when you really look at it, the box for set 800 definitely sticks out. The lack of color on the box, the font for the number 800, and the black lines surrounding the number were all very out of style for LEGO back then. Luckily for us though, this user had some crazy connections. Apparently they got in contact with someone they knew at the LEGO archives, and wouldn't you know it, this set is extremely rare. It was produced only in 1966, but to add the cherry on top, it was only distributed in 3 European countries: France, Denmark, and Norway. Even with all of this newfound information though, the user still doubted that the set was ever even distributed. That was until a person named Gabrielle from Barcelona, Spain, sent in pictures of the exact same box that was found in the French catalog. Gabrielle said that their dad had purchased this set way back when in 1966. And with this, it was confirmed. This set is 100% real. It's by far one of the most elusive LEGO sets of all time. I mean, hardly anyone has ever heard of it. If you like super cool LEGO facts like this one, then go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I post videos like this every single week. Seriously, it would mean a lot. Anyways, let's get back to the good stuff. In 2014, LEGO took a bold step into the digital world with the release of LEGO Fusion. It was the first and only of its kind, and it was actually super sick. The concept was simple: build LEGO structures in real life, then scan them into a digital world using the LEGO Fusion app. It was LEGO's attempt to merge hands-on creativity with the growing popularity of digital gaming, which I have to say is a phenomenal idea. Each Fusion set revolved around a specific item, like Town Master, Resort Designer, or Battle Towers, allowing users to make buildings, cars, or anything else with physical bricks before uploading them into the app. Once in the virtual world, players could actually interact with their builds, expand them, and even complete challenges, blending the best of both worlds. Or at least that was the idea. Unfortunately, the execution didn't quite catch on. The app had compatibility issues, and the gameplay wasn't engaging enough to hold players' attention. As a result, LEGO quickly pulled the plug on the Fusion line, and the sets vanished from shelves almost as fast as they appeared. Just 1 year after the theme's introduction, it was gone, and it hasn't been back since. Just a year before this though, LEGO released one of their coolest sets ever, and instead of trying to step into a new world, they just leaned harder into one they were already a part of. This is the LEGO Architecture Studio, and it's a set unlike any other in LEGO's lineup. Released in 2013 and aimed squarely at adults, this sleek monochromatic set featured over 1,200 all-white bricks, inviting builders to tap into their inner architect. Unlike traditional sets that come with step-by-step instructions, the Architecture Studio actually has what LEGO calls a guidebook. It's filled with a bunch of different techniques you can use with the pieces provided, without telling you exactly what to do with them. What was the point of this? Well, it was to get the more advanced LEGO builders to really tap into their building brains and construct something from scratch, which is pretty cool. With no flashy colors or minifigures, the LEGO Architecture Studio was a serious toolkit for those interested in the principles of architectural design. The minimalist approach gave builders complete freedom to craft their own masterpieces. The included 270-page guidebook wasn't just a manual. It was a deep dive into the world of architecture, offering lessons and tips from professionals to help spark ideas and refine techniques. Though discontinued, the LEGO Architecture Studio remains a highly sought-after set for adult LEGO fans. It's perfect for those who prefer a more sophisticated, free-form building experience, and who appreciate the challenge of working without a predefined blueprint. For these next sets, though, you'd be lost without a set of directions. In the 1980s, LEGO introduced something revolutionary with their Technic pneumatic sets, a system that used air pressure to bring LEGO creations to life. These early Technic sets featured working pneumatic components, which basically just means compressed air components, allowing builders to control the movement of cranes, lifts, and other mechanical functions with a pump. For many, these sets were the pinnacle of LEGO engineering at the time, and they've since become rare treasures in the world of LEGO collecting. The Technic pneumatic system relied on pumps, hoses, and air tanks to create realistic motion, replicating hydraulics used in real-world machinery. Sets like the AirTech Claw Rig and the Excavator let builders experience the excitement of seeing their creations move fluidly, powered entirely by air. These sets didn't just challenge builders to assemble complex models, they introduced them to the basic principles of engineering and mechanics. But these topics are really only meant for adults, so LEGO knew they had to make something to educate kids too. Their solution for this was LEGO Docta. LEGO Docta was LEGO's answer to educational building, designed specifically for schools and classrooms. These sets focused on teaching subjects like math, science, engineering, and robotics through hands-on learning. Unlike standard LEGO sets that were available to the public, Docta sets were typically only sold in schools, making them incredibly rare and hard to come by for the average LEGO fan. These sets weren't about just building for fun. They were designed to inspire critical thinking and problem solving. Very fitting for school. Sets like the LEGO Docta Control Lab brought mechanics and programming into the classroom, giving students an interactive way to explore concepts that were usually way too difficult to learn from textbooks alone. From early motorized builds to programmable robots, Docta paved the way for LEGO's broader educational offerings, like LEGO Mindstorms. But remember, these sets were only sold to schools, so that makes them extremely rare. I'm curious, have any of you guys watching actually built a LEGO Docta set in school before? Let me know down in the comments. Up next is a LEGO theme that had pieces even bigger than LEGO Duplo. Before Duplo became the go-to line for young children, LEGO introduced LEGO Primo, a specialized range of larger, softer bricks designed for infants and toddlers. Released in the mid-1990s, Primo sets featured oversized, rounded pieces that were easy for tiny hands to grip and stack, providing a safe introduction to the world of LEGO. While Primo predated Duplo, it was eventually absorbed into the Duplo brand, which makes it super hard to find actual Primo sets today. What set LEGO Primo apart was its focus on being accessible to super young children and even infants. These bricks were designed with smooth, rounded edges and came in bright, bold colors to capture the attention of toddlers. The sets also included simple elements like balls, rattles, and animal figures. Despite their simplicity, these sets laid the foundation for LEGO's eventual jump into kid-friendly sets. Since LEGO Primo was discontinued in the early 2000s though, complete sets are now considered a collector's item, especially those in good condition. But Primo isn't actually the only time that LEGO has made some overly large bricks. I'm talking about LEGO Quattro. LEGO Quattro was a brief, bold experiment from LEGO aimed at the youngest builders yet. Introduced in 2004, LEGO Quattro featured extra large bricks, way bigger than Duplo, designed for toddlers as young as 1 year old. These massive, easy-to-handle pieces were perfect for tiny hands just starting to explore the world of building. However, despite their unique size and target audience, Quattro only stayed on the shelves for about a year before being quietly discontinued, making these sets quite rare today. What made Quattro unique wasn't just the size of the bricks, but also their compatibility. The larger Quattro bricks could connect with both Duplo and standard LEGO pieces, creating a seamless progression from baby blocks to full LEGO sets as children grew older. Despite this versatility, Quattro kind of fell off, likely due to the dominance of Duplo in the toddler space. But it's safe to say that Quattro basically paved the way for LEGO Duplo, and this next LEGO theme did the same thing, but in a totally different category. Now, we all know that LEGO's made some seriously huge sets for the LEGO City theme, but the founder of these sets was made way back in the day. In 1978, LEGO took a major step towards shaping the cityscapes we know today, with the release of the LEGOland Town set. This wasn't just any other set. It marked the beginning of one of the first true LEGO play themes, reflecting the LEGO Group's growing focus on urban environments. Before LEGO City became the bustling theme it is today, LEGOland Town laid the foundation, drawing inspiration from LEGO's town plan sets from 1955. In 1978, LEGO released a total of 31 town sets across 3 sub-themes, all of which have been retired for ages now. With these sets, LEGO fans could build their own miniature cities, complete with roads, buildings, and vehicles, making it a game changer for LEGO back in the day. It was the first time we saw minifigures interacting with a detailed living world, filled with houses, gas stations, fire trucks, and way more. The designs were simple yet innovative, giving builders endless possibilities to customize their towns. Let's come back to a more recent time though, so I can tell you about a seriously cool LEGO set. Released in 2003, the LEGO Creator Record and Play set took creativity to a whole new level by blending traditional LEGO building with some brand new technology. Sure, it looks like your typical creator set at first glance. You could build all sorts of models, including a frog, a dinosaur, or even your own unique creations. But this wasn't just about building. It was about making your models move. What set this LEGO kit apart was the built-in recording and playback function, which allowed you to record and play back movements for your models. You could build your frog or dinosaur, then use the set's motorized components to make them hop, walk, or crawl in ways you've never seen before. Although it was one of LEGO's lesser-known sets, the record and play kit was a fun, interactive twist on the usual brick building experience, making it a cool collectible for fans who love LEGO's more experimental side. Over time, it's become a rare gem, sought after by those who appreciate LEGO's venture into motion and mechanics. But this was all the way back in 2003, and this next item will will really put into perspective how far LEGO has come. In 2021, LEGO took a bold step into the world of fashion by teaming up with Adidas to create the LEGO Adidas sneakers. The sneakers themselves featured bold LEGO-like details, like a brick pattern sole, LEGO logo accents, and vibrant color schemes that really made them pop. They were designed to reflect the fun and imagination that LEGO represents, while still being fully functional, high-quality Adidas footwear. The collection included shoes for adults and kids, making sure the LEGO love could be shared across generations. Not only were these sneakers stylish, but they also became instant collector's items. Whether you're a LEGO enthusiast who loves to build, or a sneakerhead who appreciates unique collaborations, the LEGO Adidas sneakers were the perfect blend of creativity and fashion. Switching gears though, I want to talk about LEGO's integration of lights and sounds in their sets. Now, what you might not know is that the light and sound that we get to witness in modern day LEGO sets was first introduced even before the year 2000. In the 1980s, LEGO introduced the light and sound sets, adding an electrifying new dimension to traditional builds. These sets came equipped with battery-powered components, including lights, sirens, and even motorized elements, allowing builders to bring their creations to life like never before. Whether it was the flashing lights of an emergency vehicle or the buzzing of a helicopter, light and sound sets were revolutionary for their time. But with electronics involved, these sets have become exceptionally rare today, especially ones that still work. Collectors who come across a working light and sound set are in for a treat. These sets are not only rare due to their age, but also because functional electronics are increasingly hard to come by. Most of the time, the batteries are completely eroded and therefore ruin the set, so they really are a treasure. Speaking of treasure, there's a lot of that in this forgotten LEGO theme. This is the LEGO Adventurers theme, which started all the way back in 1998. But there was something really special about this theme. Obviously, the theme was based around adventures, but it'd be super boring if every time you went on an adventure, you went to the same place. LEGO made sure to avoid this by adding 4 sub-themes to the Adventurers theme. There was Jungle, Egypt, Dinosaur, and Orient Expedition. All of these sub-themes were released from 1998 up until 2003 when the theme was retired. But the sets for this theme were all pretty cool. Since the theme was only around for 5 years though, most of the sets are pretty hard to come by, and a lot of LEGO fans today don't even know that this theme existed. And the same thing can be said for the sets up next. In the early 2000s, LEGO introduced the Studios line, a pioneering theme that brought the magic of movie making to the world of bricks. These sets were designed to let builders create their own cinematic adventures, complete with movie sets, props, and even a working video camera. Among them, the Steven Spielberg Movie Maker set easily stands out the most. In case you missed what I just said, let me say it again. These sets came with cameras that actually worked, so if you wanted to, you could make an entire stop-motion film with what you get in one of these sets. As I said before though, the rarest of these sets is the Steven Spielberg one, and considering his level of fame, this definitely makes sense. You might think this LEGO theme is pretty weird, but I guarantee this next one's way weirder. In the late 1990s, LEGO took a leap into the world of time travel with the Time Cruisers theme. This line of sets featured outlandish designs and imaginative time-traveling adventures, setting it apart as one of LEGO's most unique and weird-looking themes. With its blend of bizarre vehicles and minifigures, Time Cruisers has become a beloved and unusual part of LEGO's history. What makes Time Cruisers particularly special is its one-of-a-kind aesthetic. The sets were intentionally designed to be weird, with bright colors, odd shapes, and quirky details that stood out from more traditional LEGO themes. Despite its short run and limited appeal at the time, the Time Cruisers line has gained a cult following. Collectors absolutely love these sets because of how much they stand out. What was your favorite item in this video? Be sure to let me know down in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe.